Chapter 359. In front of him was the combination of beauty and beast. 2 ox heads, 4 orcs, and 3 golden elves. This group of people, the beautiful ones were extremely beautiful, and the ugly ones were extremely ugly. The one who shouted at Yu Yang was an ox-head girl who was about 3 meters tall. Yu Yang thought that the barbarian cow shadow on man was ugly and had a personality before she evolved. Who would have thought that compared to this ox-head girl, she was like a small witch in the presence of a great witch? Forget about the ox-head girl. There were also 4 orc girls with long fangs protruding from their lower lips. Their bodies could be said to be plump and strong, each more muscular than the other. Originally, it was already shocking enough to see them standing together. Moreover, they were standing next to 3 breathtakingly beautiful golden elves. That kind of contrast gave people a strong psychological impact. Yu Yang thought that his mental endurance was not bad, but when he looked back, he felt like he couldn't take it anymore. It was too shocking. Among the 3 golden elves, one of them was slightly younger, an underage girl. Strictly speaking, she was a flat-chested lowly, youthful and lively. Her green elven light armor accentuated her slender waist and long legs, giving Yu Yang the first impression that she was like a deer in the forest, lithe and graceful. Her beautiful little face was flawless and delicate. Her long eyelashes were especially lively, and her light green eyes were like 2 emeralds. Her soft lips always carried a mischievous smile. With one look, one could tell that she was a smart and mischievous little demon. The other one looked a little like her brother. He was tall and slender, with long purple hair draped over his shoulders. His handsome face was not inferior to Prince Tianluo's. Compared to him, Yu Yang's handsomeness and elegance were a notch lower. Only by being masculine and valiant could he win against the other party. Of course, compared to the Golden Elves, who were all handsome and beautiful, the humans were definitely at a disadvantage in terms of appearance. The Golden Elves were a branch of the elves that were famous for their nobility and beauty. People like Yu Yang, Shui Tanlang, Yin Pejun, Prince of Tianluo, and the other handsome guys that dominated the entire soaring dragon continent would probably only be considered as ordinary people in front of the Golden Elves. The girl standing beside the Golden Elf male looked much more mature. Her beauty had definitely reached the level of femme fatale. Yu Yang had seen many beauties before, such as Shui Wuxia, Princess Sisai, City Mistress Fallen Flowers, and Sickly Beauty. Each of them had their own merits and were far better than normal human girls. However, compared to this Golden Elf girl, they were not even on par. Yu Yang suppressed the throbbing in his heart. According to his aesthetics, this Golden Elf girl was slightly skinnier. If her chest could be more voluptuous, it would be even better. Of course, wanting to see a female elf's breasts explode was not a dream, but a dream. Her specialty was her breathtakingly beautiful face, her slender waist, her breathtakingly long legs, and her supple skin. Exploding breasts and whatnot. Only the orc girls beside the Golden Elves were born with this super talent. Any one of the 4 orc girls could come out. With their great breasts, they could easily suffocate a strong man to death. The slightly older Golden Elf girl was wearing a light purple robe with golden embroidery. She held an emerald green staff with a huge sapphire embedded on it. Yu Yang did not look at her for too long. Firstly, his wife at home also had a peerless beauty that was not inferior to the other party. Secondly, this mature Golden Elf girl seemed to be a couple with the handsome Golden Elf guy. She was already taken. The quest requires 10 people. We are still short of 1 person. If you come, we could give you a ruby as a reward. If you want to exchange it for gold coins, that's fine too. When the handsome Golden Elf guy saw that Yu Yang only glanced at the 3 of them, he immediately retracted his gaze. He felt that this human boy's manners were not bad. If it was any other human boy, he would probably drool like a waterfall when he saw his sister and wife. Thinking of this, he immediately expressed his gratitude towards Yu Yang politely and told him the reward. Why me? Yu Yang was curious. The whole plaza was filled with people. Why would they look for a newbie like him? We will not let those fellows with ulterior motives join us. Come with us. It won't take up too much of your time. You can leave the party after we accept the quest. The ox-head girl patted Yu Yang's shoulder in a rough voice, almost causing Yu Yang's small body to collapse. What instance dungeon do you want to do? I'm a small level 6 puppet master now. Can I still go down? Yu Yang felt that it was better to clarify things. What is an instance dungeon? Everyone looked at him in shock. Where are we going? Jadeite Forest? What kind of boss is there? I mean, what kind of big monster is there? What is the strongest monster guarding the treasure? When Yu Yang asked, he realized that everyone was looking at him as if they were looking at an alien. Don't read those messy unofficial history books like Warriors Fight Dragons and The Prince Saves the Princess. It's not what you think it is. The ox-head girl reached out and gave Yu Yang another slap. Luckily, Yu Yang managed to dodge in time. You mean, we won't level up if we go there to fight monsters? Won't drop treasures? Yu Yang felt that the god of Heaven Gaming Company was too evil. How could they not drop treasures when fighting monsters? We are going there to pick herbs. The veins on the ox-head girl's huge head were bulging. This fellow is a little silly. Is it really okay to bring him along? An orc girl said to another orc girl, "It's good to be silly. An overly intelligent fellow would be dangerous. However, among the cunning humans, it's rare to see someone as silly as him." The conversation between the orc girls hurt Yu Yang's self-esteem too much. Ever since he transmigrated, this was the first time he heard someone call him silly. Furthermore, this was the first time he heard someone call him ugly. Heavens, the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower was not a good place. Yu Yang felt that he had come to the wrong place. He didn't come here to travel, but to be ridiculed. All right, it's better if they don't know the truth. Otherwise, it would be boring. Yu Yang pretended to be I'm rich, stupid, and easy to bully. If it wasn't for the fact that he was unprepared, Yu Yang would have pretended to be a nouveau riche from the countryside. The ox-head boy who had been silent the whole time seemed to be the boss. He put on the airs of a boss and waved his hand heroically. "What are you trembling for? Let's go." Just like that, the rich, stupid, and easy to bully Yu Yang set off with the Beauty and the Beast team. No one cared about a noob's opinion. His existence was only to make up a team of 10 people for the Beauty and the Beast team. This was because the most basic requirement to enter the Jadeite Forest was to have a team of 10 people. That was a group quest. Even if he was an innate, he wouldn't be able to complete it alone. The 4 orc girls were wearing heavy armor and wielding a thick mace in one hand. They also had a round shield made of mystic iron on their left arm. It seemed like they were the meat shields of the team. The 2 ox-head girls, 1 male and 1 female, had a huge axe on their back. They should be the main attackers, the berserkers. The big lowly elf was an archer. She had a beautiful wisteria bow on her back. Her brother was either a mage or a warlock, an important source of firepower in the team. As for the beautiful elf girl, needless to say, she was definitely the healer of the team. She was definitely a cleric. Yu Yang was daydreaming as he walked. What kind of role was he in this team? Puppet summoner? That was just a fake. If Yu Yang was also a puppet summoner, then how could ghost genius Yu Gong endure it? Paladin? No, that's not right. Although he had Nirvana's flame, he couldn't revive. Then was he a druid? Although he had Thorny Flower, Hui Tai Lang, and other beasts, he definitely couldn't be considered a druid. As for being a ranger, forget it, that was not even close. Could it be that he was a thief? Yu Yang thought for a long time. In the end, he actually came up with a shocking conclusion. According to a real evaluation, he, who had a shameless fighting style and liked to scheme against others, was more like a sneaky thief. Forget it, being a thief wasn't really a good thing. I could sneak attack. Yu Yang was still daydreaming when the ox-head girl's slap almost sent his heart flying. What are you mumbling about? Are you still unhappy? The ox-head girl glared at him angrily. No, I wouldn't dare. Yu Yang immediately raised his hand, showing that he was a docile person. He belonged to the type of docile person who wouldn't retaliate even if the town security scolded him. If you're worried about danger, you can leave the team in the Jadeite Forest after you accept the quest and teleport back. We will give you the relevant rewards and a teleportation scroll. The kind-hearted elf girl thought that Yu Yang was timid and comforted him gently. She looked like a big sister comforting a little brother, causing Yu Yang to feel depressed. Coward, I already dared to accept a quest from the 6th floor 2 years ago. Unlike you, you're already so big, yet you're still trembling in fear. The mischievous elf Loli made a face at Yu Yang. You already accepted a quest from the 6th floor 2 years ago. Little friend, how old are you this year? Yu Yang was curious. 2 years ago, this girl was probably still in the 3rd grade of primary school, right? Listen, I'm not a little kid. In another 5 years and 8 months, I'll be 160 years old. I'm an adult. Do you understand? The elf Loli's words almost made Yu Yang fall to the ground. All right, there was no point in talking about age with the golden elves who could live for 3,000 years. Where are you from? The handsome elf smiled bitterly at Yu Yang. It was obvious that it wasn't easy to be a brother, so he changed the topic. Soaring Dragon Continent. Yu Yang knew that in the eyes of these people, the Soaring Dragon Continent was actually an outer realm, and a very small one at that. I know, the human Jizun came from the Soaring Dragon Continent. When the elf Loli mentioned Jizun, there was a hint of respect. Yu Yang noticed this. Not only her, everyone in the team, no matter if they were oxheads, orcs, or even golden elves, all had sincere expressions of respect. It seemed that respecting the strong was the specialty of the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower. As long as you were strong enough, you would have fans regardless of race. The elf Loli said, when I grow up, I also want to become Jizun. The handsome elf who usually doted on her immediately scolded her. Don't be disrespectful to Jizun. There's only one Jizun in this world. The naughty elf Loli was so scared that she stuck out her tongue, expressing her fear. She tilted her head and looked at Yu Yang. Do you know Jizun? Yu Yang shook his head hurriedly. The 4 orc girls laughed out loud. One of them laughed so hard that her mane shook. Of course he knows Jizun. It's just that Jizun doesn't know him. For a weak human like him, I doubt if he has ever heard of Jizun. I've heard of Jizun before. Yu Yang refuted with a deadpan expression. Ha ha ha. Are you trying to kill me with laughter? This time, even the oxhead girl and the reserved elf girl couldn't help but laugh. Brat, stand by my side later. I will protect you. The jadeite forest might be dangerous for you, but I have already entered it 3 times. I'm more familiar with it than home. As long as you follow me, I will guarantee your safety. The oxhead girl patted Yu Yang's shoulder heroically. Her action made Yu Yang speechless. Luckily, he knew that the oxhead race's aesthetic was completely different from humans. Otherwise, he would be worried that this oxhead girl would fall for him. Oxhead people liked those with horns on their heads, and their bodies must be strong and hairy. A thick tail was more important than anything else. In the oxhead race, a man who didn't know how to wave his tail to chase away flies wasn't handsome. Lastly, if one wanted to be more handsome, they had to wear a golden ring on their nose or ears. As for scars, the more scars, the better. According to Yu Yang's appearance, he was definitely an ugly man in the oxhead race. According to this standard, it was just like in the orc race, a man without fangs, a mane, and a belly was not welcomed at all. In the eyes of the oxhead girl and the orc girl, Fatty Hai was much more handsome than Yu Yang. Chapter 360. At first, Yu Yang thought that it would be easy to receive quests from the Warrior Guild in the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower. Who would have thought that it would be completely different? The Warrior Guild in the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower had a strict requirement for quests. Other than the requirement of the party's level, there were strict requirements for the number of members and the allocation of members. If a party's leader could not reach a certain level, or if the party did not have a member of a certain profession, the person who issued the quest would reject the target from accepting the quest. Furthermore, there were very few solo quests issued in the Warrior Guild. This was because even the innate rankers believed that the survival rate of a single person in the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower and above was extremely low. Without the support of a party, a single person could not guarantee their own safety, let alone complete a quest. Are you sure that you have the ability to complete this quest? The middle-aged warrior who issued the quest asked Yu Yang at least 3 times if we were really going to pluck the starlight flower. Yu Yang was speechless. Was there a need to be so nervous about plucking a flower? There was no big boss guarding it. Furthermore, why didn't the others ask him, but only him? Did he really look that weak? Was the counterfeit inherent skill really that effective? Young man, you have to watch your attitude. Although the jadeite forest was a green-marked area. More than 30% of the monsters there were gold-ranked monsters, and close to 10% were golden king beasts. Most importantly, there would often be strong green dragons and blue dragons appearing there. They liked to use the jadeite forest as a resting place. In the past 100 years, at least 500 warriors who accepted the quest have fallen into eternal slumber there. Do you understand what I mean? The middle-aged warrior was very dissatisfied with Yu Yang's attitude. He felt that letting Yu Yang do the quest was equivalent to watching him die. "All right, I will be careful." Yu Yang did not want to argue, and quickly expressed that he understood the other party's good intentions, so that the other party would not continue lecturing him. "I'll lend this to you, temporarily." The middle-aged warrior passed a teleportation stone to Yu Yang and warned him, "Young man, if you meet with danger, crush it immediately, understand? Sometimes, retreating is not a disgrace. On the contrary, dying for nothing is the real stupidity." Yu Yang didn't think that this middle-aged uncle with a lot of saliva would actually be so concerned about his safety. Of course, to the members of the Warrior Guild, martial artists who could come here, no matter which continent they came from, were the elites of the elites. If they died in vain in the early stages, it would be a great loss. This was especially so for the young. They still had a lot of potential for growth, and they might even be able to advance to the innate realm in the future. It would be a pity if they died early in the early stages of growth. After accepting the mission, he was led to a designated teleportation room. Before they were teleported to the jadeite forest, the old man in charge of teleportation reminded them, "Everyone, you only have 10 days. If you can't make it back within the time limit, then the mission will fail. From the 11th day onwards, we will send out a rescue team. If you are in trouble, you must persevere. Finally, I wish you all good luck. Thank you for your blessings, Elder." Other than Yu Yang, everyone, including the orc and oxhead, returned the gesture respectfully. A golden light flashed. Yu Yang realized that he had been teleported to a special space. The entire sky was green. The sky was the color of emerald jade, and the ground was also an emerald green. The trees in the forest here were almost 100 meters tall. They were lush and full of life. Compared to the soaring dragon continent, the forest here was much cleaner and greener. It was like a green jade that had just been washed in water. This place really lived up to its name, Jadeite Forest. The gravity here was much stronger than the 6th floor. It was estimated to be 8 times stronger. Oxhead, the orc, and the 3 golden elves quietly adapted to the gravity here the moment they teleported in. The strongest Oxhead party leader and the handsome golden elf were the first to adapt to the gravity. When Yu Yang saw them opening their eyes, he immediately pretended that he was not used to the gravity to prevent himself from being exposed. The slowest was the big, lowly golden elf. She needed a whole 5 minutes to adapt to the gravity. When she adapted, she immediately went to tease Yu Yang, the weak human. Her laughter was like a bell. "I was the slowest in the past, but now it's great. Someone has finally snatched away the throne of the last place. You have to cherish it. This position was given to you by me. All right, what's your name? I still don't know your name after so long. That's not my fault. It's because you didn't ask." Yu Yang introduced himself, saying the famous name Titan. I don't think it's appropriate to call you Titan." The Oxhead girl patted Yu Yang's shoulder out of habit. "If not Titan, then what should I call you?" Yu Yang wouldn't let her pat him again. "It would be more appropriate to call you Bone Chop Spirit." The Oxhead girl almost said that Yu Yang was a skeleton. Yu Yang rolled his eyes. How could she bully him like this? Upon entering the jadeite forest, everyone displayed an extremely cautious and vigilant expression, as if this was a bloody battlefield. Only Yu Yang, who was ignorant and fearless, treated it as a holiday. Of course, with his true strength, Yu Yang, who could kill a level 8 innate under certain conditions, came to the jadeite forest as if it was just for fun. It wasn't that there weren't any strong beasts in the jadeite forest. On the contrary, there were a lot of them. However, the reason why it was marked as a green safe zone was because most of the beasts here wouldn't take the initiative to attack intruders. Normally, they would just roar and chase the intruders away. Unless the other party attacked, they would live in harmony. A large group of forest wolves and dozens of forest boas passed by Yu Yang, but they didn't care about Yu Yang's small group and hurriedly passed by. Every single one of them was a gold-ranked level 6 and above. There were also the iron-winged dragon eagles and gold-headed falcons that flew past from time to time in the sky. They were even stronger. Yu Yang even saw 2 gold king beasts, the purple-backed thunder eagle. Other than being warned by a group of gold mammoths at the wetland in the forest to stay away, the group had not met any real enemies after walking for 6 hours. Oxhead and orcs, elves and humans, the adventuring group that Yu Yang was in, were not on the menu of the local beasts. With great difficulty, they walked to another piece of wetland that was slightly more spacious. Just as they were looking for a place to rest, suddenly, Yu Yang felt a strange sensation. Not right. Not right. My heart is beating very fast. There might be danger here. We should leave. The gentle elf girl who didn't speak much suddenly stood still. Her slender fingers gripped her staff tightly as she surveyed her surroundings. Even though she didn't see any abnormalities, she immediately warned her companions, "I don't see any enemies, but this place doesn't feel good." Anna's senses are the sharpest. Since she said it's not safe, then we should leave immediately. The elf girl's husband, the handsome elf, immediately stood in front of his wife and sister to protect them. The 4 orc girls and the 2 oxhead girls reacted very quickly. They took out their weapons and protected the 3 of them in the middle. Only Yu Yang didn't seem to fit in with the group. In the sky, a series of bird cries sounded. Hundreds of wyverns flew towards them majestically, practically covering the sky. Yu Yang almost drooled when he saw this. There were so many wyverns. If he killed them all, how many magic crystals would he get? Quickly hide behind a tree. Idiot, do you want to die? The oxhead girl who hid in the forest rushed over and pulled Yu Yang back behind a tree. She glared fiercely at Yu Yang and scolded him in a low voice. "Didn't I tell you to follow me? Are you a natural idiot? Shut up. Wyverns have very sharp hearing, especially these green-spotted wyverns. Their eyesight and hearing are very shocking. You guys didn't fight any monsters along the way." Yu Yang was a little depressed. How could he level up if he didn't fight monsters? How could he get magic crystals if he didn't fight monsters? Don't say any more. The oxhead girl glared fiercely at Yu Yang and quickly told him to shut up. The majestic flock of wyverns flew across the sky. Yu Yang's heart ached. His Reaper Mantis needed wyvern's magic crystals to level up. It was such a good opportunity just now. If he had known earlier, he wouldn't have teamed up with them. He would have come by himself. Of course, he didn't think that he wouldn't be able to accept the Jadeite Forest quest alone and come here. Although the flock of wyverns had passed for a while, Yu Yang's feeling didn't diminish at all. He knew that it wasn't the flock of wyverns just now. There was an even stronger creature following him. Moreover, the distance between them was far beyond his eyesight and hearing. The elf girl, Anna, couldn't sense the existence of this strong creature at all. Although the Oxhead party leader was silent, he was very meticulous. He personally went out to inspect the area before leading his team away. It was a pity that the Oxhead party leader's inspection was ineffective. That strong creature seemed to be invisible. Even Yu Yang's eyes and ears could not detect it. What kind of creature was it? What was it trying to do by secretly following the team he was in? It had intelligence and knew how to be invisible and follow people. This proved that this creature was at least a holy beast. Yu Yang didn't point it out. He only paid attention to it secretly. Along the way, Yu Yang's harvest was plentiful. They were still far from the place where the starlight flower grew, but along the way, there were many strange flowers and plants. Yu Yang had seen it in the medicine encyclopedia before, and he had also inherited the knowledge from the pitiful guy's mother. When he saw something good, he definitely wouldn't let it go and kept plucking it. On the contrary, the Oxhead, orcs, and golden elves in the team were indifferent to Yu Yang's actions, as if they didn't recognize that those were treasures at all. There is a limit to the forest's growth. We should pluck it in moderation. Don't overdo it. The handsome golden elf even advised Yu Yang to pluck less. The Jadeite forest is so big. Yu Yang sweated profusely. From the map, the Jadeite forest was half the size of the Xia kingdom. Plucking a few plants was nothing. Even if 100,000 people came here to chop down trees for a month, they would only be able to do a little damage. That's right, the jadeite forest is a medium-sized forest. It has a certain amount of resources, but we are outsiders after all. We are not the owners of this place. The creatures that live here have a natural cycle. We can't overdo it, or else we might damage this natural environment. You must know that explorers like us come here continuously. Every time we ask for something from nature, we reap without sowing. The jadeite forest needs time to recover. If it doesn't recover, our descendants might not be able to enjoy the jadeite forest's selfless blessing. The handsome golden elf's words made sense, but Yu Yang was stunned for a long time. No matter if it was the Hua, Xiatian dynasty, or the humans living in the soaring dragon continent, no one had ever really cared for nature. The experts in the Hua, Xiatian dynasty all talked about how to protect the environment and maintain the balance of nature. However, once they discovered the existence of fur, medicinal ingredients, oil, and minerals, everyone would go crazy for economic benefits. They would use the fastest speed to plunder as many resources as possible. Even if it was because of the harsh environment, the imbalance of nature's balance, and the continuous natural disasters, the country and the people never stopped plundering for even a second. In other words, in front of economic benefits, the environment was nothing. As long as they could get their hands on money, no one cared about how many species were destroyed. No one cared about how much land was polluted and what kind of consequences it would cause. Even if they knew that destroying the environment was equivalent to destroying their own homes, it was equivalent to committing suicide. People were happy and never tired of it. Yu Yang didn't think that the handsome golden elf would have this kind of awareness. Looking at the oxmen and orcs again, they both had an expression of "you are the executioner of nature" on their faces. He couldn't help but sweat profusely. Could it be the humans were really that greedy compared to other species? When they were not satisfied with getting enough resources, they still wanted to get more greedily, not stopping until the day they die. All right, I won't pluck them. Yu Yang couldn't stand the stares of others. Was there a need to be like this just for a few plants? It's very rare to see a human like you who can control his desires. The handsome golden elf seemed to be surprised by Yu Yang's reaction. He praised Yu Yang and extended his hand. My name is Lin En. Your words and actions have changed my impression of humans. My name is Bao Er. I'm a very, very, very outstanding archer. I never miss. The big lowly elf emphasized that her archery was invincible. Oh, although I don't really admire you, it seems a little rude not to say your name. The ox-head girl patted Yu Yang's shoulder. The feeling of Yu Yang dodging her made her very unhappy. In the end, she still said her name in a low voice. Call me Fan Luen Tai. It means healthy or strong. It's a very good name. Yu Yang didn't think that it was a good name for a girl to be called Fan Luen Tai, even though she was an ox-head. Leo. The ox-head party leader's words were very concise. Fudla, Fudgio, Fudley, Fudman. These were the names of the 4 orc girls. It didn't sound very interesting, but it was said that in the orc language, these 4 words meant white and fat. Yu Yang looked at the 4 orc sisters and realized that they were darker than black people. They were far from being white, but they were still fat. As you know, my name is Anna. I'm Lennon's wife. In the end, the elf girl smiled slightly. Although you are a human, you give me the feeling that you are more like an insensible little brother. You don't have the slyness and treachery of other humans. Yu Yang was speechless. If she wanted to praise him, she could have just said it. Why did she have to say that he was insensible? This was too hurtful. Although your strength needs to be improved, we still welcome you to join our party. Ever since that annoying dwarf went back to his room to forge iron and refused to come out to do quests with us, we have been looking for a suitable party member. Brat, you are very lucky. If your heart was not in the right place, I would have thrown you out of the wetlands to feed the wyverns. The ox-head girl grabbed Yu Yang's arm with one hand and didn't allow him to struggle. She patted his shoulder fiercely and laughed happily. Yu Yang was speechless at her habit of hitting people when she spoke. Fortunately, ox-head people wouldn't marry humans. Otherwise, if this Fan Luen Tai married a human as her husband, that unlucky guy would definitely be beaten to a pulp by her. The flat-chested big elf lowly, mischievously asked Yu Yang about the human race, intending to embarrass him. Of course, it was also because she was curious. For example, do you humans fight every day? Or, I heard that when your people are extremely hungry, they would exchange their sons for food. Is this true? Yu Yang found it hard to answer these questions. This was because many of them were the truth. Furthermore, the cruelty of humans was 100 times worse than exchanging their sons for food. If he told these pure-hearted golden elves about the dark side of humans, they would probably faint from fright. What's your specialty? The handsome golden elf guy wanted to help Yu Yang out of his predicament. He also wanted to understand the abilities of this new party member that everyone had just acknowledged. Specialty? Something like creating mechanical puppets. Yu Yang summoned out the silver fox that he had spent a lot of effort to create for his sister, Yu Shuang, as a way to explain his specialty. When the silver fox appeared, it immediately won the favor of the big elf Loli Bao. This big elf Loli's eyes shone with countless little stars. If it wasn't for her good upbringing, she might have snatched Yu Yang, this especially cute silver fox. The silver fox didn't have any intelligence. It only had its own set of instincts. It was created by Yu Yang to protect the little girl. Because he was worried that enemies would endanger the little girl's safety, Yu Yang made it the most important when he created it. When it appeared, its eyes immediately shone with a blue light. Its ears perked up and its mouth opened, revealing its sharp teeth. This battle stance meant that it had discovered a strong enemy. Chapter 361. When the silver fox realized that there were strong enemies around it. On the contrary, Yu Yang felt that the invisible holy beast that had been following behind them suddenly left. It left towards the southeast. Just when Yu Yang was puzzled, suddenly, the Oxhead party leader Li Ao's black iron bracer and the golden elf Lin and's gemstone ring lit up in red light at the same time. Those two red lights flashed towards the southeast direction. The two of them shouted almost at the same time, "Southeast, someone is asking for help. Quick!" The Oxhead girl fan Luan Tai patted Yu Yang's shoulder hard, signaling him to follow her. She rushed forward with her giant axe. "Oh, whoa! Hurry up! We could get double the team points if we save someone." The four orc girls also rushed forward bravely. Yu Yang felt that this method of saving people was too much of a pain in the ass. They might not even be able to protect their own lives. How could they save people? Once the monsters here went berserk, this team would not be able to defend against them at all. Of course, saving people might be a good tradition of the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower. This could not be distinguished by the human world's concept of right and wrong. Yu Yang kept the silver fox that had been surrounded by strong enemies and followed behind the big lowly elf Bao. On one hand, he could enjoy the scenery. He could look at her round and perky, but which was tight against her clothes as she ran. It was especially tempting. On the other hand, Bauer was the weakest in the team. If anything happened, he could protect this innocent and lively girl. Yu Yang realized that along the way, countless monsters were gathering towards the southeast. Even the flying beasts in the sky were gathering quickly. After walking for about half an hour, a strong smell of blood permeated the forest, spreading far and wide. Beside them, there were beasts running past from time to time, but they did not care about Yu Yang and the others at all. They all pounced forward as if they were crazy, as if something was summoning them. After walking for another 10 minutes, there was a wetland and a lake in front of them. In the southeast, there was a tall cliff in front of them. Numerous green dragons swooped down continuously, spewing long dragon breaths, attacking the human warriors on the ground like raging flames. In the forest, countless beasts rushed towards the battlefield, disregarding their own safety as they charged towards the dozens of human warriors who had formed a defensive circle. On the ground, the corpses of the beasts that had been killed by the human warriors were everywhere. Blood flowed all over the ground. The stream of blood flowed into the lake and dyed the southeastern shore red. Yu Yang didn't need to look to know that these people weren't dangerous at all. They had 2 innate rankers, and the weakest among them was a level 7 overlord. A few green dragons couldn't do anything to them at all. As for the beasts on the ground, like the forest wolves, forest boas, and Yin Sun, they were basically courting death. No matter how many of them there were, they wouldn't be able to do anything to two level 3 innate rankers. Moreover, both of them had treasures in their hands. One of them was holding a gold-ranked dragon-slaying spear, while the other was holding a curse ball. While their battle prowess was soaring, they had also greatly weakened the battle prowess of the forest demonic beasts. It would be strange if they could lose this battle. Yu Yang did not understand why they were calling for help. Could it be that there were stronger beasts in the forest? On top of the dragon cliff, there was a silver figure guarding the cave. Only this silver giant dragon could barely defend against the two innate rankers. However, even if it had the help of a few green dragons, Yu Yang did not think that it would be able to defend against the double attacks of the gold-ranked dragon-slaying spear and curse ball, especially the gold-ranked dragon-slaying spear, which was an existence that was on the same level as the gold-ranked dragon-slaying dagger in Yu Yang's hands. More accurately, they were originally the gold-ranked dragon-slaying set equipment. Legend has it that 10,000 years ago, there was a talented but mediocre-looking man named Tai Yu. One day, he and the beautiful dragon girl met by chance and fell deeply in love. Their unmatched love had angered the Golden Dragon King. The Gold Dragon King angrily imprisoned the dragon girl, but she quickly escaped from the prison and eloped with her lover, Tai Yu, to a remote place to live in seclusion. The Red Dragon Prince, who had a crush on the dragon girl, was once Tai Yu's friend. He was deeply trusted by Tai Yu and the dragon girl. Other than the Red Dragon Prince, no one else knew about their seclusion. In fact, the Red Dragon Prince had secretly helped the dragon girl escape. Tai Yu and his wife were very grateful to the Red Dragon Prince and saw him as their benefactor. However, the truth was that the Red Dragon Prince was jealous because the dragon girl threw herself into Tai Yu's arms and became his friend's wife. He wanted to destroy the couple's happiness. After he leaked the news, the Gold Dragon King quickly sent out the Dragon Clan's personal guards to capture them. The Red Dragon Prince reported the news to Tai Yu immediately and requested Tai Yu to forge a weapon that could kill the Gold Dragon King. He wanted to use it to assassinate the strongest Gold Dragon King and prevent this tragedy from happening. Thus, Tai Yu, who was an expert in crafting, personally forged a gold-ranked dragon-slaying spear as the Red Dragon Prince's weapon. As for himself, he forged a gold-ranked dragon-slaying sword to block the pursuit of the personal guards. After the Gold Dragon King was killed, the Red Dragon Prince told the dragon girl about the news and framed her husband, Tai Yu. The dragon girl misbelieved him and interrogated her husband. Tai Yu, who had the gold-ranked dragon-slaying sword on his waist, couldn't explain and could only admit that it was the weapon he forged that killed the Gold Dragon Prince. The dragon girl left angrily, and Tai Yu was surrounded by the vengeful Dragon Clan's personal guards. The last fatal blow was from his good friend, the Red Dragon Prince, who killed him on the spot with a gold-ranked dragon-slaying spear. Dragon Girl, who had left and returned, discovered her husband's corpse. She was in so much pain that she wanted to die. At this time, she discovered that there was something suspicious about the matter and secretly investigated. When she discovered that the Red Dragon Prince had an invincible golden dragon-slaying spear, she understood everything. The regretful dragon girl was powerless to take revenge. She placed all her hopes on the son in her womb. When Tai Yu's son grew up, he was even more outstanding than his father. At the same time, he inherited his mother's good looks. Other than forging an extremely sharp gold-ranked dragon-slaying dagger, he also learned the transfiguration technique from an expert called Formless. Tai Yu's son disguised himself as a beauty and got close to the Red Dragon Prince, who had already become the Dragon King, and successfully assassinated him. Just when the furious Dragon Clan was about to join hands to tear Tai Yu's son into pieces, the Dragon Girl appeared and cried about this tragedy to her clansmen. She also took back her late husband Tai Yu's gold-ranked dragon-slaying sword from the Red Dragon Prince's waist and committed suicide. Her act of suicide shocked the Dragon Clan. In the end, the Dragon Clan released the grieving Tai Yu's son. The legend was passed down from generation to generation. Because of the long period of time, no one could verify the authenticity of this legend. However, the Yu clan's descendants in the Soaring Dragon continent had always regarded Tai Yu's son, the ranker who forged the gold-ranked dragon-slaying dagger to avenge his father, as their ancestor, using Yu as their surname. This was the story that Elder Yu Hai personally told to Yu Yang after he obtained the gold-ranked dragon-slaying dagger. In the Soaring Dragon continent, other than the Yu clan, the other clans had probably forgotten about this legend. Maybe in Xia's or Tian Luo's royal library, one could find a few lines related to this legend. No matter what, the gold-ranked dragon-slaying spear, dragon-slaying sword, and dragon-slaying dagger were indeed the three weapons in the dragon-slaying set. Other than these three weapons, there were also the Crimson Dragon armor, Tai Yu gloves, Dragon Lady's necklace, and Dragon King's crown. These treasures were all items from the legend. The later generations combined them into a set. Together with the dragon-slaying spear, dragon-slaying sword, and dragon-slaying dagger, they became known as the Vengeance set. Of course, because the legend had been passed down for so long, the feat of slaying a dragon was even more memorable. Hence, in the later legends, it gradually became known as the dragon-slaying set. With the gold-ranked dragon-slaying spear, Yu Yang felt that the few low-level green dragons would definitely not be able to survive under the joint attack of two innate level 3 rankers. He really couldn't understand why such a strong team would ask for help. These people were completely capable of dealing with the monster's attacks in the Jadeite Forest. Why would they ask for help? However, almost 100 green-spotted flying dragons had arrived in the sky. Yu Yang was tempted. There were magic crystals all over the ground here. He couldn't be an executioner who destroyed the environment, but in order to save people, he could at least take some magic crystals, right? Moreover, he wasn't the one who killed them. The beasts killed by that team couldn't be revived. It would be a waste if he didn't pick them up. Yu Yang rubbed his palms together and prepared to fight. Of course, the most important thing was to collect magic crystals. He couldn't be bothered with other people's lives. Moreover, with the help of two innate rankers, it wouldn't be easy for these guys to die even if they wanted to. On the other hand, Bao Er and the others who came to help, the strongest Oxhead Party leader, Li Ao, was even weaker than the weakest one. If he walked out, his life would probably be in danger. This group of despicable and shameless humans are really too hateful. Not a single human is good. The Oxhead girl roared angrily. Hey, what's going on? Yu Yang didn't understand. Why did she rush over to help them so excitedly? Why did she get angry when she saw that the human team had the upper hand? Could it be jealousy? Or could it be that this Oxhead girl was as kind as a bodhisattva and couldn't bear to see blood on the ground? They are dragon hunters. The handsome elf Lin In suppressed his anger and explained painfully. What? Yu Yang still couldn't understand. Idiot! Dragon hunters are a barbaric and bloody profession. They are completely devoid of conscience and bloodthirsty. Although they're dragon slayers, in reality, they do all kinds of bad things. They would kill any living thing they see. Wherever they go, it's like a plague of locusts, leaving nothing behind. There are green dragons and blue dragons resting in the Jadeite Forest. These dragon hunters used some kind of secret method to hide from the Warriors Guild and came here to hunt giant dragons and plunder dragon crystals. We can't just sit back and do nothing. We must punish these hateful human butchers. The big lowly elf bit her lips in hatred. She almost pulled out the vine bough on her back and shot at them. Don't! You're not their match. Yu Yang hurriedly stopped her. Don't tell me that you also think that their actions are right. Can't you see that the battlefield opposite is filled with rivers of blood? The Oxhead girl grabbed onto Yu Yang's collar. This, my opinion, is not important at all. What's important is that you are far from being their match. Yu Yang told the truth. There are 15 of them. The strongest 2 are innates for a level 8 intermediate emperors. 6 are level 7 advanced overlords, and the weakest 3 are level 7 beginner overlords. None of them are weaker than me and Lin In. This battle is extremely difficult. We might all be wiped out. The Oxhead Party leader Li Ao's expression was very serious. This was the first time he spoke so much. Are you really preparing to start a war with them? Upon hearing that, Yu Yang was shocked. Wasn't this the same as smashing an egg against a rock? The dragon hunters are the common enemy of all races. Although we are weak, we can't just watch them do whatever they want. Otherwise, they will come to kill us sooner or later. Someone has to stand up and stop them. Even if we kill one of them, their strength will be weakened. The handsome elf Linen's words made Yu Yang speechless. Yu Yang remembered that there was a sentence that was left behind by the German Pastor Martin Niemöller. When they were massacring the Jews, I did not make a sound because I was not a Jew. When they were massacring the Christians, I did not make a sound because I was not a Christian. When they came to capture the communists, I did not make a sound because I was not a communist. In the end, when they wanted to kill me, there was no one who spoke up for me. If the dragon hunters slaughtering dragons happened in the soaring dragon continent, no one would oppose them for slaughtering dragons. Most people would think that this was a matter of course. Killing dragons and obtaining dragon crystals was the most basic requirement for humans. Anything could be killed. As long as there was a need, even humans could be killed, not to mention giant dragons. Maybe there were a few people who felt that excessive killing would harm the harmony of the world, destroy the natural environment, and destroy the ecosystem. However, they would never or would not dare to stop the rankers who had the ability to slaughter giant dragons. At most, they would only complain a little in secret. Would there be people who would protest against the rankers who could slaughter giant dragons? Would there be people who would stop the actions of the dragon hunters? No. Among the humans, there would definitely not be such fools. That was definitely an act of seeking death. Not to mention that they did not have the ability to stop it. Even if they did, they would be worried that it would affect their future and ignore it. There were even people who would join the dragon hunters excitedly and become a member of the dragon hunters to reap the greatest benefits. The wrath of giant dragons and the mourning of hundreds of beasts. Who would care about those things? Who would care about the harshness of the environment and the destruction of nature? Yu Yang was shocked by the few fools in front of him. Knowing that they were no match for the dragon hunters, they still bravely went forward to fight. Were the brains of these ox heads, orcs and golden elves made of hard granite? Couldn't they be more flexible and go back to the warrior guild to ask them to send people to stop them? This is suicide. Let's give up on the mission and go back to the warrior guild to ask them to send people over. Yu Yang advised. Good idea, you go back. Bring Bao Er along. The handsome elf Lin patted Yu Yang's shoulder and nodded in agreement. What a great idea. The oxhead fan Luan Tai sneered mockingly. I will not run away. Even if I die in battle, I will not leave. Let this cowardly human escape. I am a brave golden elf, a noble guard of the moon god. I will never run away in the face of danger. I'm not afraid of death, because death will let me return to the embrace of the moon god. The big lowly elf Bao Er's lips trembled. It was obvious that she was actually very afraid of death. Good Bao Er, such a brave warrior. The 4 orc girls praised her in unison. You're sending her to her death. She can't even take one hit from the enemy. What can her little bow and arrows do? Can she even make the enemy lose a single hair? Have you ever thought that if you fail, not only will you die, you will also be captured? Bao Er and Anna will most likely be humiliated by the enemy. This is the end result of you trying to be a hero. I understand that you want to attack the enemy. But before you become stronger, this method is not rational. Is not right. I cannot accept it. Yu Yang was furious. Even if we are captured, the moon god will not let us be humiliated. We will sacrifice our lives. No one can humiliate the followers of the moon god. Anna's breathtakingly beautiful face revealed a smile, like a big sister looking at a little brother. She gently nodded. You are right. What we are doing is not the best. However, the greatest value of a life in this world is not how many benefits they obtain, nor is it that they always follow the best path, but whether they can enjoy freedom and happiness from the bottom of their hearts. If they can't, then no matter how strong they are, no matter how many treasures they have, they are still poor and weak. You may not understand my words, but one day you will understand because you are a different kind of human. Think about it. When there is an enemy that threatens your freedom and makes you unhappy, what will you do? Fight. I believe that you will fight. Of course, Your way of fighting might be different from ours. You will endure and wait until you are strong enough to kill your enemies, while we will choose our own way. There is no way of fighting that is wrong. Your way is right, and ours is not wrong either. It's just that we have different ideas. We are all fighting. You would rather die than fight? Do you think there is value in making a sacrifice that does not harm the enemy? Yu Yang made Anna speechless for a long time, and finally asked back. We have value. Our value in battle doesn't lie in how many enemies we kill, but in our attitude. We definitely won't tolerate this kind of behavior. They can kill us, but they can't twist our souls, and they can't change our wills. Oxhead Party leader Li Ao patted Yu Yang's shoulder. We will not force you, because you are a human different from us. You can stay, or you can report back to the Warriors Guild. Among the humans, you are a very good young man. Live well. Sleep. The handsome golden elf Lin Si used his hand to brush Bao Er's face. A green light flashed, and Bao Er collapsed. Anna gently caught her. Golden elf Lin In said to Yu Yang, bring my sister away. She is still a child. Please bring her to my father. You don't have to care about what happened today. In Tong Tian Tower, there are many teams with the same ideals as us. There are people dying every day and new people joining every day. A warrior's grave does not necessarily have to be built in the family's graveyard. Mountains, forests, snowy lands, deserts, anywhere can be our burial ground. Our way of fighting is different, but one thing is for sure, we are all excellent warriors. I have never seen anyone more stubborn than you guys. Forget it. I won't leave for the time being. Maybe let me give it a try. Let me talk to those dragon hunters. Seeing that we are all humans, they might listen to my advice and leave this place. Yu Yang's idea was to chase those guys away himself so that these rigid oxheads, orcs, and golden elves would not die here. No, if you go, you will only die in vain. They will not listen to anyone's advice. Golden elf Lin In shook his head. He did not think that Yu Yang's idea was good. Stupid fool, go ahead. When you are killed by them, I will avenge you. I will at least kill one of them. Oxhead fan Luan Tai slapped Yu Yang's back hard and laughed heartlessly at the same time. The human dragon hunters from afar had already noticed Yu Yang's team. 2 of the 4 level 8 middle tier Emperor S flew over with lightning speed. When they saw Anna and Bao Er's appearance, they immediately laughed lewdly. The tall and skinny man on the left laughed. Great. I have not tasted a golden elf for a long time. Maybe it has been at least 20 years. Who would have thought that today another golden elf would come knocking on my door? There are 2 of them. Compared to the mature golden elf, I prefer this sleeping fledgling. When I think about how she screams in pain during the rape, I can't help but have goosebumps all over my body. This fledgling should still be a virgin. After I rape and kill her, I will happily suck her blood. Ha ha! That would be great nourishment. Another bare-chested man with a body as strong as a bull completely ignored everyone, including Yu Yang, as he laughed heartily with glee. Can you let them go on account that we are both humans? We will leave immediately. Yu Yang knew that this was a wasted question. However, he wanted to ascertain what kind of existence these dragon hunters were. Who do you think you are? Humans? Don't tell me we haven't eaten enough roasted human flesh? Don't think that just because you're a human brat, you can order us around. In Tong Tian Tower, there's no difference between races. As long as you are strong enough, then all living beings are food and slaves. Do you understand? Do you think that just because we are both humans, I will be merciful and let you go? Dream on. It is your bad luck to fall into our hands. With your weak and useless appearance, you still want to be a hero? Do you want to laugh until my teeth fall off? I say, brat, have you stopped drinking milk? You are so naive. What do you think Tong Tian Tower is? A nursery? If you don't have the ability, then you will die. The tall and skinny man spat on the ground and ridiculed Yu Yang. I think that this fellow's head must have been kicked by a donkey. I have never seen such an idiot. With your intelligence, I am very curious. How did you manage to survive to the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower and above? Brat, let me tell you a truth. The weak are prey to the strong. If you don't have the ability, then let us slaughter you. In your next life, if you still have a next life, you must remember that if you don't have the ability, then hide under your mother's skirt. Let her protect you like a hen protecting her chicks. Don't ever go out, or else someone might trample you to death. The man who was as strong as a bull laughed. The Oxhead party leader Lee Ao, the handsome golden elf Lin In, the Oxhead girl, and the 4 orc girls all looked at Yang. No one spoke, but Yang could feel that they all wanted to comfort him. But he did not know how to comfort them. Anna, who was carrying Bao Air, walked to Yang's side and said gently, "You are like my younger brother, kind and smart. You just lack experience. I am very happy to meet you. Take Bao Air and leave. You're still young. You should not die here. We will open a path for you. Use the teleportation stone to leave. The golden elves and I will always bless you. Although you are a human, you are so outstanding." Yang looked at Anna and shook his head. He did not take Bao Air, who was in her arms. He stopped Lin In and Li Ao from persuading him. Step by step, he walked towards the 2 dragon hunters opposite him. The weak are prey to the strong, right? If you don't have the ability, then you should be slaughtered by others, right? Your words made me understand a lot. Since that is the case, then you can all go and die. The rage in Yu Yang's heart exploded 100 times faster than lightning. His hand directly pressed on the tall and skinny man's face. The power of the star explosion, domain exploded. The tall and skinny man could not even last a second before his head exploded. In the next second, Yu Yang appeared in front of the man who was as strong as a bull. Chapter 362. The man who was as strong as an ox was still in shock. He never thought that a weak enemy would be able to instantly kill his companion, who was as strong as him. How was it possible to insta-kill a Class 8 mid-tier emperor? However, as an expert, his reaction was fast. When Yu Yang appeared in front of him, he did not hesitate and punched out. The power of this punch was enough to split a mountain. Even if it was a gigantic golden mammoth, it would probably fall to the ground under this punch. The man, who was as strong as a bull, only felt pain in his fist. His body's next natural reaction was to kneel on the ground. He felt as if his fist had been gripped by an irresistible force. It was crushed in an instant. That kind of pain penetrated deep into his bones. In his ears, he heard a strange sound. He was actually very familiar with this sound, because every time he broke the bones of his enemies, he would hear this crisp sound. In fact, in his heart, he really liked this kind of hair-raising sound of bones breaking. Hearing this, he forced his eyelids open in pain. He found that his arm was like a fried dough twist, constantly twisting and deforming. In the end, his entire arm was twisted off from his shoulder. Who would have thought that today, the one being abused would be him? Before he could even scream in pain, he immediately turned around and ran. Such an enemy wasn't someone he could fight against. The only thing he could do was to escape back to the 2 inborn experts. Only then would he be able to preserve his life. As he frantically tried to escape, Yu Yang pressed a hand on the back of his head. The huge force pressed his entire face into the ground and pushed him forward, like a cow plowing a field, creating a deep and long pit in the ground. Everyone, including the 2 inborn experts, was shocked by what they saw. They were dumbfounded. No one could understand what was going on. The guy whose entire face was scraped off by the mud was still alive. When Yu Yang let go of him, that fellow even jumped up and ran towards his companions like a rotting demon. His mouth, which was only a lump of rotten flesh, let out an indistinct cry for help. Hearing it made one's heart tremble and their hair stand on end. Boom! Before he could take 10 steps, his head was blown to smithereens by the Jinshi that Yu Yang had forcefully infused into his body. Brain matter and skull fragments splattered everywhere. They sprayed all over the sky. The 2 Emperor rank experts who had died under Yu Yang's hands had their beasts explode along with their master's death. They didn't even have the time to betray their master before dying on the spot. We didn't mean to offend you. The one who reacted the quickest was an innate rancor. He was dressed in black, had an aquiline nose, and a sharp glint in his eyes. He held a curse ball in his hand. He was probably the brains of the team. He had heard some of the conversation just now, and he knew how despicable those two fellows were. Now that they had angered the opponent's rankers, it was normal for them to be killed repeatedly. The only thing that surprised him was that there was actually such a powerful inborn expert in the other party's team. Why would an innate stay together with a team that only had the strength of a level 6 Elder and a level 7 Overlord? This was too puzzling. The other was an innate ranker with a gold-ranked dragon slaying spear. He was glaring angrily at Yu Yang. If it wasn't for the fact that he couldn't see through Yu Yang's level and true strength, he would have already attacked him. As a level 3 innate, although he had the strength to be arrogant, he knew that there would always be someone stronger than him in this world. A level 3 innate in the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower was considered a powerful person. However, there were too many rankers above level 3 innate, so he wasn't truly invincible. If he met a level 6 innate or above, he would be killed in an instant. Now, he was afraid that this brat was a powerful level 6 innate. Looking at his age, this brat didn't look like an innate ranker at all. However, if he wasn't an innate, he definitely wouldn't be able to kill two normal level 8 Emperor in an instant. Let's have a talk. Among the dragon hunters, the skinny man who was the most eloquent took the opportunity to speak to Yu Yang. Yu Yang's reply was first slash, earth-splitting slash. Using his innate chi, his Hui Jin magic blade shrouded in raging flames, cutting the skinny man who was about to negotiate in half. The gold-ranked dragon slaying spear flew towards him like lightning. The crimson-haired innate ranker flew into a rage. He gave up on entangling with the green dragons that were already riddled with wounds. Although he might be able to kill one of the green dragons with a few more spears, the sudden situation in front of him forced him to change his mind. He had to face Yu Yang, who was slaughtering his companions first. The innate rankers had a treaty in the innate alliance. Under normal circumstances, innates would try their best to avoid fighting, especially innates from the same clan, in order to avoid harming their vitality. Unless the negotiation broke down, otherwise, innates wouldn't kill each other without saying a word. Following its master's attack, a gold-ranked level 8 scarlet-eyed lion roared and pounced towards Yu Yang. In the sky, two gold-ranked level 7 cattle-eating giant vultures circled downwards with their sharp claws. If it was any other ranker who was below innate level 2, they would probably be flustered. Especially that gold-ranked dragon-slaying spear. It was extremely sharp and terrifying. Yu Yang's figure flashed, easily dodging the spear. The power of his Yang ability exploded instantly. Under Yu Yang's control, the raging purple flames on his Hui Jin magic blade soared in the sky like a fire phoenix, facing the two cattle-eating giant vultures. With a scream, the two cattle-eating giant vultures became roasted birds. As the scarlet-eyed lion pounced towards him from behind, Yu Yang held the Eye Destroyer dagger and slashed across the scarlet-eyed lion's eyes. Before the scarlet-eyed lion could react, the gold-ranked dragon slaying dagger had already pierced deeply into its head. The innate invisible sword chi flowed along the dagger's tip and penetrated deep into its skull, piercing through its magic core. The pouncing scarlet-eyed lion soared into the sky and crashed onto the ground. Before it could crash onto the ground, it had already been killed by Yu Yang. The other innate ranker's face turned pale when he saw this. He used his curse orb to cast the fastest poison curse, but realized that it had no effect on the enemy. An enemy that was completely immune to gold-ranked treasure's special skills. An enemy that could remain unscathed under the pincer attack of an innate ranker and his beast, and could even deal a fatal blow. Heavens, what kind of devil did those two fellows provoke? No, my big cat. The innate ranker with crimson hair roared in grief. He exploded with all his strength and furiously chased after Yu Yang with his spear. Yu Yang didn't care about him at all. He hit his dagger and attacked simultaneously with the crescent blade and Hui Jin magic blade. The two level 7 overlords who tried to defend couldn't even take one hit. Their heads were chopped off by Yu Yang, their necks bleeding profusely. Right now, the dragon hunters had turned from hunters to victims. In front of Yu Yang, the devil, they couldn't maintain their formation anymore. The survivors all ran away. Only 2 Emperor rankers ran towards the center, to the side of their team leader who was holding the curse orb. They knew that they would only be safe if they were by their team leader's side. Run? Who could outrun an innate ranker speed? Yu Yang stabbed one of the prison emperor's 7-star pillars into the ground, then chased after the few level 7 overlords who were running away. Blade slash, dagger stab, star explosion. The one who escaped the furthest, Yu Yang, raised his flame bow and shot an ice arrow, piercing the heart of the guy who thought he could escape by luck. Yu Yang's ice arrow could even kill an innate ranker in an instant. Previously, Yao Guang of the 7 Great Bears had died under 3 ice arrows. The guy who escaped was only in normal level 7. He didn't even have the chance to scream before he was frozen into an ice sculpture. Explode. Yu Yang clenched his fist, and the ice sculpture immediately exploded, shattering into millions of ice shards. Other than the 2 innate level 3 rankers and the 2 normal level 8 emperors, the entire team of dragon hunters only had 1 level 7 overlord left. According to his true strength, he could definitely fight evenly with the golden elf Lin In or the Oxhead party leader Liao. But now, in front of Yang, he was as weak as a little chick. He couldn't even muster up the courage to resist. When Yang walked towards him, he took out the teleportation stone with his trembling hands. He crushed the teleportation stone. However, the teleportation pillar didn't appear normally. Everyone didn't look at Yang. Instead, they looked at the prison emperor's 7-star pillars that Yang had stabbed into the ground. This gigantic pillar had a strong will that even teleportation was severely disrupted. Spare me. The guy was so scared that his whole body was trembling. Your companion taught me that the weak are prey to the strong. I'm sorry, but you are not strong enough. Yang pointed at that guy's forehead. A bloody hole appeared between his eyebrows and went all the way to the back of his head. The innate invisible sword Qi was invincible, let alone a normal level 7 overlord. Even rankers like the great emperor of Zi Wei Shun Tian, Thousand Goblin sect leader, and great demon king Baruth wouldn't dare to take it head-on. Maybe it was because they saw that Yu Yang's strength was so terrifying and they couldn't escape. The 2 innate rankers and the 2 emperor rankers all rushed forward crazily and surrounded Yu Yang. If they didn't kill Yu Yang, they definitely wouldn't be able to survive. Now, they already understood that the other party was completely enraged by their stupid companion's arrogant behavior. He was bent on killing their entire team. There was no possibility of negotiation and reconciliation at all. The gold-ranked dragon-slaying spear took the lead and became the main attack of the 4 people. The innate party leader who was holding the curse ball took out a gold-ranked staff and hit Yu Yang's head heavily. At the same time, he ordered his Golden King Beast, Chaos Flame Demon, to attack together. The 2 level 8 intermediate Emperor warriors attacked from both sides. The one on the left was holding a thunder axe, while the one on the right was holding a blood scythe. Yu Yang laughed coldly. Facing the 4 people who were attacking together, his figure flashed past. When Yu Yang stood still, among the 4 people who flashed past, the 2 Emperor warriors who were floating in midair fell head first to the ground. The Thunder Axe warrior was beheaded. The Blood Scythe warrior was cut in half. The innate party leader who had the curse ball screamed in disbelief. Impossible. This is impossible. What kind of divine weapon do you have? How can you kill him in an instant? I don't believe it. The crimson-haired man who was holding the gold-ranked dragon-slaying spear stabbed out with all his might, flying towards Yu Yang's heart. Before the spear arrived, the long spear aura had already pierced through the air. Even the cliff wall behind Yu Yang, which was tens of meters away, was smashed into pieces by this incomparably powerful attack. Yu Yang was pierced through by the spear. Without waiting for the opponent to reveal a look of surprise, the afterimage slowly disappeared. Yu Yang's real body appeared behind the enemy. His eyes were filled with ridicule. Speaking of speed, this guy's speed was like a tortoise compared to the Heaven Realm Great Leader Void speed. How could Yu Yang, who had already adapted to Void speed, be hit by his spear? He stuck close to the enemy's back. The Nirvana flame transformed into a spear. A spear slowly pierced through the back of the innate ranker who was holding the gold-ranked dragon-slaying spear and came out through his chest. You are not fit to use a spear. Yu Yang waved his hand and snatched the gold-ranked dragon-slaying spear into his hands. With a skillful spear flower that made people sigh, he lifted the burning enemy on the spear's tip and threw him onto the ground. He then stepped on this fellow's head, causing this fellow, who was still struggling before his death, to be deeply stomped into the ground. Let me go. I can agree to any of your conditions. The innate party leader who had the curse ball knew that he was no match for Yu Yang. He only wanted to live. It's too late for you to beg for mercy. Yu Yang turned around. The world-exterminating wheel that he threw just now easily cut the last innate party leader in half. He kept the world-exterminating wheel, Nirvana Fire Spear, the gold-ranked dragon-slaying spear, and the curse ball. He turned around and looked at Lin In, Anna, Li Ao, Fan Luan Tai, and the other new party members who still couldn't believe what had happened. He turned around and crushed the teleportation stone given by the middle-aged warrior from the Warrior Guild while keeping the Prison Emperor's 7-star pillars. It was time to leave this team. Although they had different philosophies, Yu Yang had learned a lot from these oxheads, orcs, and golden elves. For example, fighting for their beliefs, their unafraid will to fight, and their uncompromising spirit. These were things that Yu Yang had never come into contact with before. He didn't agree with their way of thinking, but he didn't deny their way of living. Wait! When Yu Yang teleported away, Lin In, Li Ao, and the others cried out as if they had just woken up from a dream. Before Yu Yang teleported away, he felt that the holy beast that had been following him was secretly observing him. When it arrived, even with Yu Yang's senses, he didn't feel anything. If he hadn't teleported away, Yu Yang would have really wanted to see what kind of holy beast it was. If it was fated, they would definitely meet again. Yu Yang suddenly had this feeling in his heart. He had just ascended to the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower. There was still a long way to go to train. Chapter 363. Warrior Guild. Yu Yang, who had crushed the teleportation stone, instantly teleported back to the middle-aged warrior's counter. Do you need treatment? When the middle-aged warrior saw Yu Yang covered in blood, he thought that Yu Yang was heavily injured. He did not expect that the blood was splattered by Yu Yang when he massacred the dragon hunters. Thank you, I'm fine. I can't return your teleportation stone for now. As for the mission, my companion will complete it. Yu Yang nodded and turned to leave. This brat is a little strange. The middle-aged warrior looked at Yu Yang's back and frowned. What's wrong? A younger warrior beside him asked. He doesn't look like he had just experienced a bloody battle. Although he looks like he's covered in blood, his expression is too calm. I can't understand why he's a newbie who just ascended to the 6th floor. The middle-aged warrior had seen Yu Yang's information before. He realized that he had just ascended to the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower. In less than an hour, he had already formed a team to complete a mission. If not for that, he wouldn't have given him a teleportation stone to escape. Although this newbie teleported back in less than half a day and was covered in blood. However, his expression was very calm. Could it be that this brat was a blood-soaked general at the bottom of Tong Tian Tower? In less than 10 minutes, Yu Yang stepped into the Warrior Guild again. He walked in front of the middle-aged warrior and handed over a form. I've decided to join the ranks of the anti-dragon hunters mercenaries. The mercenary guild said that I need a nominator and a guarantor. May I ask if you can sign your name on this? You met a dragon hunter just now? The middle-aged warrior was shocked. Dragon hunters were no joke. Although there weren't many dragon hunters, almost every team of dragon hunters was led by a fallen innate ranker. Furthermore, every time they moved out, there would be more than 10 of them. It was too difficult for a normal warrior to surround and kill a dragon hunter. Even the warrior guild's Iron Blood Guards needed more than 100 people to have a chance of winning. A ranker happened to pass by and chased them away. Our team was not injured. Yu Yang did not deny that they had met a dragon hunter. You are very lucky, the middle-aged martial artist sighed. Every year, there are at least 100 rookies who die at the hands of the dragon hunters. Listen, I can sign on it, but you have to listen to my advice. Before you reach the innate realm, If you meet a dragon hunter alone, what you have to do is to leave immediately. The faster the better. Understood. Of course, Yu Yang wouldn't tell him the truth. Hold on. The middle-aged martial artist wrote 2 words on Yu Yang's form. Oh, Jin. It seemed like this was his name. After signing his name, he did not immediately return it to Yu Yang. Instead, he walked into the warrior guild and only came out after a few minutes. When he returned the form to Yu Yang, there was another name, Matthew, on it. That was Yu Yang's guarantor. The middle-aged martial artist, Oh Jin, also took care of the guarantor's signature. When Yu Yang was preparing to leave, Oh Jin warned him solemnly, "Young man, I understand your anger, but I sincerely hope that not only today, I hope that next year, or even 100 years later, I can still see you stepping into the warrior guild full of fighting spirit like today. Do you understand what I mean?" Yu Yang nodded. "Thank you for your advice. I don't think I will do anything stupid." Towards the ordinary name of Ojin, Yu Yang remembered that there was a great demon king in the demon abyss who was also called O General, of course. That demon king Ojin did not give Yu Yang a good impression. It was still this Uncle Ojin with a mustache who was only innate level 1, who was more to Yu Yang's liking. Although he was a little long-winded, to the rookies, this Uncle Ojin was a very good guide. After Yu Yang left, the old man who was in charge of sending Yu Yang to the Jadeite forest came out. The white-haired old man laughed. "Oh, Jin, it's hard to imagine that you would agree to nominate a rookies and even ask me to be your guarantor. This young man is really hard to see through. What's even weirder is that I think he looks a little familiar. Maybe I have seen his father's generation or relatives before, but I just can't remember." The middle-aged martial artist, Oh Jin, frowned habitually. "He does look a little familiar. If you didn't mention it, I wouldn't have noticed." The old man also had a vague impression of him. Yu Yang went to the mercenary guild and handed over 100 gold coins. He then handed over the form and officially became a member of the Volunteer Mercenary Guild. He received a Medal of Courage from the Volunteer Mercenary Guild. This Medal of Courage was divided into 6 levels. Each level had different runes as support. The first 3 levels were dwarf runes, while the last 3 levels were heaven runes. Yu Yang didn't care about such a little support at all. Moreover, those dwarf runes were like elementary school stuff to him. Even the last 3 levels of heaven runes were very basic to Yu Yang. They couldn't even compare to Sickly Beauty's research. What he wanted was only this identity. Yu Yang now realized that his own experience was not suitable to follow other people's path. He had to follow his own unique path. For example, killing monsters to level up. Yu Yang's current strength was high, but his level was low. In front of his strong martial strength, the basic thing seemed like a waste of a sledgehammer to crack a nut. It was really difficult for Yu Yang to calm down and patiently start from the beginning. This was because he was already used to fighting against strong opponents. Yu Yang didn't care about collecting flowers and plants or some low-level magic crystals. He had no motivation to do these things. On the contrary, if he changed his method, Yu Yang would be very motivated if he changed killing monsters and looting treasures to killing people and looting treasures. Especially when he was massacring the Dragon Hunters team just now, he had instantly killed his arrogant opponents and looted their treasures, such as the gold-ranked dragon-slaying spear, curse ball, blood scythe, and thunder axe in his lich ring. That kind of satisfaction, that kind of refreshing feeling, was something that he could not obtain normally. Furthermore, the treasures on the Dragon Hunters were thousands of times better than the magic crystals, flowers, and herbs that he collected along the way. If he killed a normal experienced team, it would be a little unreasonable. After all, the other party didn't provoke him. But now, he killed the Dragon Hunters. They were notorious bandits. Since it was a righteous act and he could obtain treasures, it was a double harvest. Why not? In the Mercenary Guild, Yu Yang realized that 50% of the top 100 quests were to kill the Dragon Hunters. Some are for small teams, while some were for a single person. The Assassin Guild, Thief Guild, and Mercenary Guild were almost one entity in the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower. The quests were all issued in the Mercenary Guild, while the specific trades, information, and rewards were obtained in different guilds. The 3 guilds all had a bloody list. Among the top 10 homicidal maniacs, 8 were dragon hunters, and only 2 were naturally bloodthirsty maniacs. The person with the highest number of kills was an awesome person called enchantment. This guy had killed millions of people, far surpassing the homicidal maniacs behind him. This enchantment, according to the introduction, had the power of an innate level 10. He had once killed all the rankers in the continent by himself, and she had lived for more than 2,000 years. Other than Jizun, no one dared to say that they could definitely win against him. According to the martial strength list, his name was even higher than the great emperor of Ziwei, Shun Tian, and the Thousand Goblin sect leader. Among the names that Yu Yang recognized, only the demonic palace's sky execution from the falling King Mountain was ranked 5th together with enchantment. The 4th was the great demon king Baruth. As for the other 2 rankers who were ranked 2nd and 3rd, Yu Yang did not recognize them. It seemed that they were rankers from the outer realm. On the bloody list, other than the top enchantment, the number of homicidal maniacs in the top 10 did not exceed 100,000. Of course, the number of homicidal maniacs did not mean that they killed civilians, but rankers. Yu Yang did not know how the statistics were calculated. Yu Yang observed along the way. He felt that if he could get rid of all these guys, he would definitely get a lot of treasures. Other than the elusive enchantment, the dragon hunters were usually attached to the top 10 rankers on the bloody list. Some of them were so arrogant that they even built a country in the outer realm in the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower. This made Yu Yang very surprised. Looks like once you have power, no matter who you are, you can really do whatever you want. There is nothing you can't do. Why are you covered in blood? Sickly Beauty saw that Yu Yang had returned and saw that his clothes were covered in blood. She couldn't help but be a little curious. I beat up a few thieves. Yu Yang chuckled. Gold-ranked dragon-slaying spear? It's a dragon-slaying set that is similar to your dragon-slaying dagger. It's not a bad thing. Sickly Beauty knew that Yu Yang had always wanted to find a suitable long weapon. Although this gold-ranked dragon-slaying spear was not an ideal holy-ranked or divine-ranked weapon, it was still a gold-ranked set. It was not bad to get it. The 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower is quite interesting. I'll rest for a while and continue to search for treasures tomorrow. A thought suddenly flashed through Yu Yang's mind. Should he let Fatty Hai, Yi Kong, and the others come up here to train? Although it was a little dangerous and they might die, leveling up in this kind of environment would be better than staying in the soaring dragon continent to train. Are you missing Wu Xia, Qian Qian, and the others? Sickly Beauty saw that Yu Yang was deep in thought and thought that Yu Yang was missing everyone. She hugged him lightly. I miss you too. Yu Yang didn't deny it. He hugged the beauty and gave her a sweet kiss. Are you trying to be naughty? Sickly Beauty's eyes were as intoxicated as wine. She slowly closed her eyes. When Yu Yang hugged her, she pinched his arm lightly with her small white hands. Scoundrel, take a bath first. Your body reeks of blood. The next day, Yu Yang appeared in front of the mercenary guild wearing a Gemini mask, wyvern armor, and carrying a bag containing the gold-ranked dragon-slaying spear. He used the Medal of Courage to accept 3 quests. After obtaining the quest map, he prepared to teleport away. Suddenly, he walked towards the plaza. Golden Elf Lin In, Anna, Bao Air, Oxhead Party leader Li Ao, Fan Luantai, and the 4 orc girls walked past him. However, they couldn't recognize this weirdly dressed man. He was the weakling who suddenly exploded and killed a group of dragon hunters yesterday. Yu Yang walked past Bao Air. This big, lowly golden elf who claimed to have never missed her target, shot him 100 times and had amazing eyesight. She even glared at him because Yu Yang pretended to accidentally touch the sign she was holding. She was holding a sign that said, "Looking for a teammate, Titan you. Looking for any information. Anyone who knows will be rewarded." In the Mercenary Guild, there was also a similar quest to find him. Yu Yang didn't greet them. He only smiled and teleported away from the plaza to complete his bounty hunting quest. At this time, at the place where the newcomers were registering, a few men walked in shouting like farmers going out of the city. One of the fat men was holding a chicken drumstick in his hand. His hands were covered in grease. He looked like a hungry ghost as he chewed on the drumstick and shouted at his companions. "Monkey, look, this is the plaza of the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower. My God, it's so much bigger than my courtyard. Look at that monster, damn, how did it grow? Look at that stone man over there. Could it be that its head is made of stone? Not bad. The sixth floor of Tong Tian Tower is even more lively than I thought. If I set up a stall here, I think I can earn quite a lot. Damn, fatty. Although you have the life of a peddler, don't embarrass the people of the soaring dragon continent. No one here would want your trash. The skinny man laughed coldly. Two men who were as honest as hammers, carrying two huge bags on their backs, followed behind the two of them without saying a word. Behind them, there were two other men. One was as cold as ice, as if he had just thawed out from a world of ice and snow. The other had a jade-like face, even fairer than a girl's. For a human man to be as handsome as him, he was probably close to the limit. Golden Elf Lin and Oxhead Party leader Li Ao looked at each other. A newcomer from the soaring dragon continent, Oxhead fan Luan Tai was even more anxious. She took big steps forward and shouted with her coarse voice, making people's ears buzz. You human newcomers, stop right there. Robbery? Oxhead King, I have no money. The fatty raised his hands exaggeratedly and pretended to be panicking. I do have chicken drumsticks, if you don't mind that I've eaten them before. Who wants to rob? I just want to ask you about a person. Oxhead fan Luan Tai felt that none of the humans from the soaring dragon continent were normal. So it's not a robbery. The fatty immediately turned hostile and waved his hands, as if he was shooing away flies. Shoo shoo. I never talk to people other than beauties. What kind of person are you asking about? I just came to the sixth floor of Tong Tian Tower. I don't owe anyone, and I don't owe anyone money. You're asking the wrong person, he said while chewing on his drumstick, completely ignoring Oxhead fan Luan Tai's angry bull eyes. We're looking for a person like you, a newcomer from the soaring dragon continent. Bao Er hurriedly ran over and asked, if a beauty is asking, then it's different. Although you're still young, you'll definitely be a beauty when you grow up. I've decided to answer your question, but you have to call me Big Brother first. The fatty showed a pig-like look. Scram. So embarrassing. The skinny man kicked the fatty into the air. That's right. The cool man who was as cold as ice also agreed. Please don't be offended. Although the soaring dragon continent is full of handsome men and beauties, there are exceptions occasionally. For example, that pig just now is the shame of our soaring dragon continent. Please don't be offended. The skinny man pretended to be refined and courteous, but even a blind person could see that this fellow was not a kind person. Furthermore, this courteous action was very different from his violent reaction just now. Even a thick-skinned Oxhead fan, Luan Tai couldn't react immediately. We don't mean to disturb you. We just want to find a friend that we just met and lost. His name is Titan Yu. May I ask if you know him? Anna decided to go personally. When she asked, Lin In and Li Ao noticed that everyone's faces revealed a weird expression. Could it be that they asked the wrong person? Were these people Titan Yu's enemies? They could be sure that they definitely knew each other, but they might not be friends. If Titan Yu was their friend, why didn't he come to the sixth floor of Tong Tian Tower together? Titan Yu was alone. Did he purposely avoid these people? These people looked a little weird. It was very possible that they were Titan Yu's enemies. Lin In and Li Ao were secretly on guard. The fatty who was sent flying with a kick just now had returned unknowingly and was standing in front of Anna. Keeping the chicken drumstick in his bosom, he first used his sleeves to wipe the oil on his mouth, then took out a comb and combed his hair neatly. He then patted the dirt on his clothes and pretended to be an elegant noble. He bowed and said, Beautiful lady, let me answer your question. Don't even talk about answering a question. Even if you want me to climb a mountain of swords and dive into a pot of oil, I will. Before the fatty could finish his sentence, he was kicked to the ground by the skinny man. The few people from the soaring dragon continent all stretched out their legs and kicked wildly in unison, causing Anna and Bao Er to be dumbstruck. Could it be that the soaring dragon continent was full of freaks? How come none of them were serious? When they were done, Anna tried to hold back her laughter and asked again. Just now, she also suspected that the other party might be bad people, but looking at it now, it seemed that they really weren't. They were just a bunch of clowns who liked to cause a ruckus. Although they were a little lecherous and a little weird, they were probably still a distance away from being bad people who would commit all kinds of crimes. What did you say? Titan you? What Titan you? Of course I know him. That brat is my little brother, and I'm his boss. How could I not know him? The fatty with a body full of footprints, whose face had almost turned into a pig's head, jumped up. His face was not red, nor was he out of breath. With a proud look, he patted his chest and said, "Thinking back to the time when we were studying in the Ivy Academy, I was the one who brought him to pick up girls. That brat was really too much of a scumbag. No girls liked him at all. He couldn't even be compared to me, a passionate young man who passed by thousands of flowers. Not even a single leaf touched my body. You're his boss." Lin In and Li Ao were speechless when they heard this. Is he really Brother Titan's boss? Bao couldn't help but sweat. She thought to herself, could it be that the fattest person in the soaring dragon continent was respected? Whoever was the fattest was the boss. Brother Titan? The skinny man looked at Bao curiously. This kind of gossipy gaze made Bao extremely embarrassed. Before this, Bao had never called Yu Yang Brother Titan. At most, she had called him an idiot a few times. However, when she woke up, it was as if she was listening to a myth. She heard Fan Luan Tai say that the weak human, that cowardly idiot, killed the dragon hunters in an instant and saved everyone. Furthermore, he even left in a flashy manner, leaving behind the back of a lonely and melancholy expert. Thus, the cowardly idiot leveled up to become Brother Titan. Where is he? Hand him over. Oxhead Fan Luan Tai was different from Bao. She felt that she had been fooled by Yu Yang previously. She was extremely angry and wanted to settle the score with him. Isn't he with you guys? The fatty asked back. Young got lost. Fan Luan Tai was too embarrassed to say that her group had misunderstood Yu Yang as a coward and had driven him away in anger. You can lose anything, but you, how could you embarrass yourself? The fatty immediately shouted. Chapter 364 Thunder Fortress. In the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower, there was a terrifying place called Thunder Fortress. It wasn't a fortress, but a kingdom. To be more precise, it was a den of thieves. Because the whole Tong Tian Tower only produced one type of unique or called thunder, or the explorers who built their camp in the early days called this place Thunder Fortress. Of course, there was another saying. It was said that the leader of the explorers was surnamed Lei, hence he named this place Thunder Fortress. At the same time, he named the or called Thunder Oregon. No matter what the truth of the legend was, people didn't care. Moreover, the Thunder Fortress was occupied by the dragon hunters 1,000 years ago and became a forbidden area for ordinary explorers. People who could come here were either vicious robbers or bandits or merchants. Things like justice, kindness, and friendliness were all extinct here. Within the borders of the Thunder Fortress, there would be fights, killings, and deaths at any time. The current king of the Thunder Fortress was Chong Ni, ranked 8th on the bloody list. He had the power of an innate level 8 and was invincible. He was a super homicidal maniac who killed more than 43,000 rankers in the past 600 years. Not to mention Chong Ni, even his 3 subordinates, Demon Eye, Mountain Elf, and Blood River, were all homicidal maniacs ranked in the top 100 on the bloody list. Because the Thunder Fortress was very unique and Chong Ni was extremely powerful, the Warrior Guild couldn't do anything to it. Even the Innate Alliance turned a blind eye to it and pretended that they didn't know anything. In Tong Tian Tower, there were too many people like Chong Ni. Once they had power, very few could maintain their sense of self. Most of them became fanatical rulers. In the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower, there were more than 1,000 evil forces like Chong Ni. It was just that the Thunder Fortress was relatively more famous and could be considered as the leader of the evil forces. Which ranker didn't have their own forces in Tong Tian Tower? Only the weak didn't have their own territory. For example, the great emperor of Ji Wei, Shun Tian, not only did he own a few palaces in the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower, he also had a Heavenly Emperor Divine Palace in the 7th floor of Tong Tian Tower. With just one palace, he ruled over a vast and fertile area that was bigger than the entire soaring dragon continent. This was the embodiment of his power. The place Yu Yang was heading to was the Thunder Fortress, a place where he could show off his skills without any worries. He first teleported to the Yellow Goat High Hill, the only place he was allowed to enter, and arrive at the outpost of the Thunder Fortress, Yellow Goat Ancient Town. Although it was a town, it was even bigger than Whitestone City. It was bustling with activity and was bustling with activity. Countless merchants were doing business here, selling all kinds of daily necessities, including food, clean water, meat products, all kinds of wine, salt, sugar, gold, silver, copper, iron, and other metals. There were even countless slaves of almost all races, including humans, but most of them were beastmen or half-beastmen. Most of these merchants were relatively weak. Most of them were level 4 heroes, or even level 3 heroes. At most, they were level 5 grandmasters. Very few of them were level 6 elders. Although they were weak, their lives were very safe. Apart from the unwritten rule that forbade the killing of merchants, it was mainly because these merchants were wearing various emblems of different merchant associations. For example, the Heaven Emperor Divine Palace Chamber of Commerce that represented Shun Tian. Even if the merchants who came to do business were as weak as chickens, no one dared to touch Shun Tian's goods. Strength was the embodiment of everything here. As long as the master had sufficient strength, he would be unobstructed in any place. Yu Yang strolled along the streets of Yellow Goat Ancient Town. Looking at the bustling trade area, he was quite moved. Although it was a little extreme, it was indeed easier for evil to nourish merchants. Merchants pursued profit. They didn't care about justice or evil. On the contrary, the more extreme the means, the easier it was to make money. For example, selling slaves was a very profitable industry. Do you need female slaves? Half-elves, hot body, and gorgeous appearance. As long as you have a taste of her service, you will be crazy. More than one merchant tried to sell the slaves in his hands to Yu Yang. In Yellow Goat Ancient Town, slaves were the most common commodity, but the price was slightly higher. For example, the half-elf female slave that was just sold to Yu Yang was priced at 3,000 gold. As long as you paid 3,000 gold and paid a heavy tax of 500 gold, you could immediately get this female slave. You could do whatever you wanted with her, or even kill her. In other words, her entire life belonged to the master who paid for it. If you thought it was too expensive, there were also cheaper ones. For example, ordinary female slaves only cost 10 to 100 gold. If you spent 1,000 gold, you could buy dozens of them. The cheapest slaves were laborers. They were beastmen or beastmen who were bought to mine or work. These laborers were not sold individually, but by cages. A cage of 100 would cost 500 gold. Are there any golden elves? Yu Yang walked 2 rounds and finally returned to the fat toad merchant who was selling the half-elves to him. Sure. The fat toad merchant quickly whispered, "You are a person who knows what's good for you, but the golden elves are hard to deal with. Maybe you don't know this, but the golden elves are stubborn. The golden elves don't easily leave the forest where they live, so hunting is very difficult. The worst thing is, once a golden elf is caught, the whole tribe will come out to kill it. They won't stop until they are dead. The golden elf female slaves have always been the favorite of the higher-ups. There has always been a shortage of them. Everyone wants to earn this money, but it's hard to get them. I've been a merchant for hundreds of years, and I've only helped to transport them twice. The last time, I was surrounded by thousands of years-old golden elves and was almost scared to death. I had no choice but to put the little one back. That's a little one worth 50,000 gold. It hasn't grown up yet, otherwise I wouldn't have to worry about no one buying it, even with 100,000 gold. Is that so?" Yu Yang replied casually and prepared to leave. "Wait a minute. Although I don't have any golden elves, I have beauties of various races here. There's no lack of virgins. Do you want to follow me to take a look? I guarantee that you will be satisfied. Our Golden Toad Guild is a famous merchant guild. In the entire 6th floor, there are tens of thousands of merchant guilds. We are ranked 95. I'm sure you've heard of us before." The fat toad merchant was afraid that Yu Yang would run away. A fat sheep asking for the price of the golden elves? How could he be short of money? Furthermore, the mask on his face was a gold-ranked equipment, and he was wearing a wyvern leather armor. How can a normal adventurer have these? Yu Yang wasn't interested in buying slaves, and he wouldn't be bothered to the point of being righteous. Freeing all the slaves was something that other men from another world would do. He didn't have the time to do that. These slaves had long been enslaved and didn't have the ability to survive on their own. If he really freed them, they would lose their master's support and might even starve to death. Actually, Yu Yang's ultimate goal was to enter the Thunder Fortress. Otherwise, he wouldn't have talked to the fat toad merchant. I want to enter the Thunder Fortress to get something. If you have a way, name a price. Yu Yang's tone was similar to those homicidal maniacs who were ready to seek refuge with Chong and I. Cough, I'm not doubting your strength, but entering the Thunder Fortress is a little. If you don't have a guarantor, it would be really difficult. I feel like an old friend when I first met you, and I wanted to help you, but the fat toad merchant was a little hesitant. If Yu Yang was caught for committing a crime in the Thunder Fortress, then he would be implicated. If Yu Yang was really going to the Thunder Fortress to buy some forbidden thunder ores, then it would be fine. But if Yu Yang was a spy from the Warrior Guild, then he would be implicated. 1,000 gold coins. Yu Yang named a price. What did you say? 1,000 gold coins. This, I also want to help you, but I really can't. The fat toad merchant swallowed his saliva. He wanted to earn this fortune, but he was a little worried that he wouldn't be able to live to spend it. 2,000. Yu Yang was like an evil demon, tempting the fat toad merchant with money. I really can't. The fat toad merchant decided that as long as the man in front of him added 100 gold coins, he would agree. Forget it if you can't. Yu Yang turned around and walked away. Oh, wait. The fat toad merchant almost gave himself a tight slap. 2,000 gold coins coming to his doorstep. How could he be so stupid? By selling a half-elf beauty, he could only make a profit of 200 gold coins. Now, he was making a profit of 2,000 gold coins. How could he reject this kind of business? Idiot, he must have hired the rock man as his bodyguard for too long. That's why his brain had gradually turned into rock. When night fell, the fat toad merchant brought Yu Yang through the teleportation circle that was heavily guarded and headed towards the Thunder Fortress. The Thunder Fortress was in an independent space. The area was not very big. It was estimated to be about the size of 5 white stone cities in the Xia Empire. Yu Yang reckoned that this place was even smaller than Hong Kong. Moreover, it was surrounded by volcanoes and lava rivers converged to form a lake. In the middle of the lava lake, there was a funnel-shaped island. It was flat at the top and sharp at the bottom, just like a spinning top in the churning lava lake. This was the Thunder Fortress. Of course, only Chong Ni's palace was on the island. Normal dragon hunters, robbers, and bandits could only live in caves. As for the merchants and slaves, they could only live underground. 2 to 3 kilometers underground, there was an underground city that was made up of mines and pits. The environment could not be compared to the Thunder Fortress on the surface, but the space could be expanded endlessly. Every year, when the laborers dug the mines, new pits would be added. This is at the entrance of the underground city. After receiving the bribe, an elite guard still asked Yu Yang about his identity. My nephew. Because of the battle, his face was ruined, so he wore a mask. I brought him here to broaden his horizons. He will definitely not cause any trouble. We are all honest merchants. The fat toad merchant gave another 20 gold coins as a passage fee. The elite guard frowned. The toad tribe had a nephew with human blood? But what trouble could a cowardly merchant cause? He reckoned that the fat toad merchant brought this kid to the black market to buy the forbidden thunder ore. If anything happens, the Golden Toad Merchant Guild will have to take full responsibility. The elite guard warned. Yes, of course. The fat toad nodded his head and bowed. On the surface, he looked respectful, but in his heart, he was sneering. Once he entered, who would know that he was one of my men? Moreover, there were so many people sneaking in here. He was not the only one. Who could they care about? Take off your mask, let me see. The elite guard wanted to let Yu Yang in, but when he saw the gold-ranked mask on his face, he couldn't help but be greedy. Whoever dares to touch my mask will become blind. Yu Yang pointed the eye-destroyer dagger at the elite guard's eyelid and asked coldly, "Now, do you still insist on seeing my true face?" The toad merchant's mouth opened so wide that a Kodo beast could fit inside. Chapter 365. The one with the biggest fist is the boss. This sentence was also applicable to the Thunder Fortress, the den of thieves. Yu Yang solved all the problems the moment he made his move. The fat toad and Yu Yang walked for 2 kilometers in the pit, but they still couldn't believe what they just saw. When they were about to reach the black market, he swallowed his saliva and said, "Mr. Titan, you really surprised me. To be honest, this is the first time I saw someone who wants to enter the Thunder Fortress lift up the guards and press them against the wall. You have to know that they are evil people who eat people without spitting out their bones. They won't stop until they have extorted all the money from the people who want to enter. Other than bribing them, I have to give them 100 female slaves every year. If not, I won't be able to pass the checkpoint at the entrance. Actually, no matter what method you use, as long as you can achieve your goal, it's a good method." Yu Yang replied casually. Yes, yes. The fat toad's respect towards Yu Yang increased by a few folds. If it was said that he had to serve Yu Yang well before, then he was now a little fearful of Yu Yang. It was mainly because he was afraid of Yu Yang. "Mr. Titan, I did not complete my mission well. Maybe I should return you 500 gold. No, I should return you 1,000 gold. No need. Money is meaningless to me." Yu Yang's attitude was too much like an emperor's. This attitude of treating money like nothing almost made the fat toad cry. He thought about how much money he could only earn every year after working so hard. Originally, he wanted to save up some money and buy a small villa on the 6th floor next to the busiest square. He wanted to live a good life with his family and live a leisurely life of the upper class. He didn't expect that his ultimate dream was nothing compared to theirs. To Yu Yang, money really didn't mean much. He didn't have a lot of money, but he didn't lack it. What Yu Yang lacked was divine equipment. Of course, in the Tong Tian Tower, no one would complain about having too many divine equipment. He believed that even Jizun would be the same as Yu Yang. The underground city under the Thunder Fortress. Black Market. This black market was actually very big. Apart from the dark pits where they lived, all the caves, tunnels, and underground cities were part of the black market. Everything could be found here, no matter if it was food, water, beasts, slaves, weapons, minerals, women, etc. As long as one could think of it, the black market would have it. Even if one couldn't think of it, it would also have it here. Outside the perimeter were stalls selling food from various races. Roasted rat meat, roasted snake skewers, or roasted lizards were the specialty snacks of this place. Just the aroma alone felt pretty good. Paired with a glass of chilled dwarven ale, this was a satisfying feast for most of the natives here. As he walked further in, Yu Yang found more items for sale. Most of them were hawkers, but there were also a few shops that were dug into the tunnel. Yu Yang felt that this place was similar to the underpass of some cities in China. It was messy, but very lively. Moreover, it seemed to be better to set up a stall here because there were no carbon-based creatures called city management here. Following the bustling crowd, Yu Yang walked forward for a few kilometers. The space in front of him suddenly became spacious. A hollowed-out underground city appeared in front of Yu Yang. The space of this underground city was estimated to be as big as dozens of football fields. The dome was estimated to be at least 300 meters high. There were caves all over the place, and inside the caves, there were flashes of light from the houses. It looked as dazzling as red stars. Although this place can't be compared to the fallen city above, it is still a goddamn place where every inch of land is worth its weight in gold. The stronger and wealthier people are, the higher they live. Our merchant guild rents 30,000 gold every year, and we only have a small cave that even a snail would find narrow. There's no other way this goddamn place is like this. It's not easy to find a temporary place to stay. The fat toad complained for a while and introduced himself. My real name is Giada from the Golden Toad clan. Of course, in front of outsiders, you better call me Wei Air. I have used this fake name for almost 100 years. Wei Air, "You damn toad, did you bring the butterfly beauty that I asked for last time?" Suddenly, a loud voice shouted from afar, "Butterfly beauty?" Everyone couldn't help but stop what they were doing and turn to look at him. Yu Yang knew that the butterfly beauty was rare and was the treasure of the butterfly clan, but he didn't expect it to be so popular in the Thunder Fortress. "Respected Lord Gunai Te, how would I dare to forget your orders? I've already caught the butterfly beauty, but the situation is too tense, so I can't bring her here. Maybe I can think of a way after 10 days. The fat toad nodded and bowed to a person with a smile. This man wasn't human, but was from a different race. Young didn't know what race this guy was from, but seeing that he was an ordinary level 8 emperor and was a level 8 beginner level 8 emperor, his strength far surpassed the people around him. He knew that he was probably the boss of the local tyrant. He didn't care about the other party's probing gaze, but looked at his surroundings. Countless people were crowding around and trading in private. Each group of people had their own small circles. The torches were stuck on the rock walls, and the dim light had witnessed the birth of the black market. Naked Panther Lady and Snake Lady were twisting their waists in the iron cages, silently exuding temptation. They were all commodities with a clear price tag. Compared to the prostitutes who were standing in the tunnel and selling naked bodies under the torches, these women were considered to be luckier. They were all pretty, and they just needed to find a good new owner. Of course, the high-quality goods and top-quality goods wouldn't be displayed for sale, as they were the finale of the black market auction. For example, the butterfly beauty or the golden elf lady. Not to mention that the fat toad didn't bring the butterfly beauty. Even if he brought the butterfly beauty, he wouldn't sell it to Gunai Te. Instead, he would send it to the auction house and let the crazy rich people bid for it. Even if he sold it privately, the fat toad would only sell it to the powerful people in the Thunder Fortress, such as the top 10 experts of the Thunder Fortress. As for the local tyrant like Gunai Te, he would just treat him respectfully on the surface. Keep bragging. How can your third-rate merchant guild catch the butterfly beauty? Do you think the innates of the butterfly clan are fools? The man from a different race slapped the fat toad's shoulder, causing the fat toad's flesh to tremble. His other hand kept the money bag that was offered as a bribe, and he looked at Yu Yang again. He seemed to be very unhappy with Yu Yang. He made a gesture of giving money with his finger. When he realized that Yu Yang didn't have any intention of bribing him, his face was filled with anger. He pushed away the fat toad who was about to persuade him, and looked at Yu Yang provocatively, purposely glaring at Yu Yang's eyes. Yu Yang didn't care about him. This made Gunai Te even angrier. His oddly large nostrils flared, and he almost spat out smoke. Out of his 4 thick arms, 2 of them clenched their fists, and one of them pushed away the fat toad who was trying to persuade him. The last one stuck his finger into his nose and dug out a big lump of green booger and smeared the disgusting booger on Yu Yang's mask. Yu Yang tilted his head, and this guy's finger missed. It's fine. This is just a small misunderstanding. He just arrived and doesn't know the rules. The fat toad quickly used his hand to wipe away the booger. What a joke! Angering this titan who even dared to make a move on elite guard, Gunai Te would definitely suffer. However, this guy was after all a local tyrant, and it would be best if he could just give him some money. Since he's new, then I'll teach him the rules. Gunai Te thought that Yu Yang was afraid. He used his hand to dig out an even bigger booger, but it wasn't enough. Then he used his finger to dig into another nostril. It seemed like he was prepared to humiliate Yu Yang, this new guy who had just arrived. Countless people were watching. This wasn't the first time this happened. It happened almost every day, and they were already used to it. Furthermore, in order to please Gunai Te, this local tyrant, the crowd would even cooperate and laugh. Sometimes they would even jeer a few words to make Gunai Te feel better. Boom! Yu Yang's fist fiercely landed on Gunai Te's face. The strength of the fist instantly smashed Gunai Te's nose into mush, and a broken finger came out from the mush. Before Gunai Te could even scream, Yu Yang grabbed the horn on his head and smashed him onto the wall. Fresh blood splattered everywhere. Broken teeth and blood splattered everywhere. The head of Gunai Te, who was the strongest in everyone's eyes, exploded like a watermelon Red and white blood splattered all over the ground. Yu Yang acted as though he had done something insignificant, and was even calmer than a normal person killing a mosquito. Under everyone's dumbstruck gaze, he elegantly turned around and prepared to leave. Gunai Te, whose head was half smashed, suddenly stood up. Although he had a head, but as a ranker of the Lu Shi tribe, even without a head, he could still continue to fight. This kind of ability was similar to many low-level animals that could continue to live without a head or tail, just that it was stronger. Yu Yang was not surprised. With his heaven eyes divine vision, he already knew the opponent's weakness. Explode. Yu Yang clenched his fist. This star explosion energy that was injected into Gunai T's body exploded in an instant, causing Gunai T's heart to explode into pieces. His internal organs and blood splattered all over the fat toad's face. A broken arm was thrown under Yu Yang's feet, twitching nonstop. Seeing this scene, Gunai T's underlings immediately gave up on the idea of surrounding Yu Yang and beating him up. Now it seemed that changing their boss was much more rational than fighting this man with terrifying strength in front of them. The boss could be changed. This was a common thing in the black market, but if their own head was gone, then they would not have the chance to change. The patrolling guards nearby saw that Yu Yang had easily defeated Gunai Te, so they pretended not to see it and hurriedly walked further away to prevent themselves from getting into trouble. Fights, injuries, and deaths. This kind of thing happened every day in the Thunder Fortress. The only exception today was that an outsider had instantly defeated Gunai Te, who was quite strong, which was considered a dark horse. Many gamblers regretted not placing their bets. If not, they might have been able to make a fortune. Among them, the one who regretted the most was the fat toad. He was very clear of Yu Yang's strength. He even dared to attack the elite guards just now. This Gunai Te was nothing. He regretted not setting up a bet for everyone to place their bets. If not, these gamblers would have lost their pants. Good. Your speed is as fast as lightning. Your strength is as explosive as thunder. I like young people like you. A man who was 10 times fatter than the fat toad was lying on a soft and comfortable bed, being carried by more than 50 strong beastmen slaves, walking out from the crowd ostentatiously. Beside him, there were 2 demon female slaves who were massaging his shoulders and feeding him grapes. Yu Yang was speechless. If he did not have heaven-eyes divine vision, he would not dare to believe that this huge fatty was actually a human. Are you interested in playing a few rounds in my arena? 1,000 gold a round, how about it? The huge fatty tempted him with money. Qilin Continent's great slave master in Dong, I am very happy to receive your recognition, but my friend does not care about money. Maybe we can talk about other things like trading. The fat toad hurriedly bowed. He knew that it was time for him, the spokesperson, to appear. If you want to fight against that guard leader of yours, then I don't mind playing. Yu Yang suddenly stated his condition. 3 guard leaders, I will increase it to 10,000 gold. Do you have the guts? The huge fatty in Dong had 3 lesser innates as his guard leaders. These 3 fellows were extremely close to becoming innates, but because of their comprehension and realm, they might never be able to become innates, so they could only be lesser innates forever. Their strength was definitely one of the top in the underground city. 1 guard leader could easily kill Gunai Te. Now that 3 of them came together, no one thought that a newcomer like Yu Yang would agree to it. As long as one was not an idiot, they would know how terrifying the combined strength of 3 lesser innates would be. Although 10,000 gold was a lot, one had to be alive to earn it. Yu Yang pretended to be deep in thought, then said, I don't want money if I win. You have to give me something of equal value. When Yu Yang said this, even an idiot would know that he definitely wanted the thunder ores. But they would never have thought that what Yu Yang really wanted was the lives of these 3 guard leaders. These 3 guard leaders were notorious homicidal maniacs, because the Mercenary Guild and Assassin Guild had put a bounty on them. They had nowhere to run, so they could only become the guard leader of Indong in the Thunder Fortress. As long as Yu Yang killed them, then Yu Yang's mission would be completed by 1/5. No problem. The huge fatty Indong was rich and overbearing. He was the owner of the Thunder Ores. he could have as many thunder ores as he wanted. Brat, you're courting death. The three guard leaders glared at him fiercely. Not bad, last words. Yu Yang shrugged his shoulders indifferently. In order for both sides to obtain a fair competition, I suggest that the battle start after an hour. This way, both sides can get a better rest and adjust. And we can also take this opportunity to let more people participate in this heroic battle. Those who want to bet, follow me. And Dong laughed out loud. He looked at Yu Yang. Young man, you can find a place to rest, or you can come to our contestants' room. We will provide all resources for free. Thank you. We will be there on time. The fat toad quickly rejected. What a joke. If he used the other party's things, he wouldn't even know how he died. After Dong left, the fat toad disregarded the fact that there were still people around and immediately complained to Yu Yang. Mr. Titan, I don't want to blame you for being rash, but this time you really didn't consider it carefully and didn't discuss it with me, your friend. Yes, I know in Dong's tricks, even if you're very strong, it will be hard for you to win against the other party. Do you understand? And Dong has a type of potion that can increase a person's strength by a few times in a short period of time. In this way, you won't be facing 3 lesser innates, but 3 innate rankers. If you don't have the confidence, let's just leave. Retreating is not a disgrace. Dying in a meaningless battle is the biggest mistake of your life. Maybe you don't understand my philosophy, but I still hope that you can listen to my advice. You have to think carefully about this matter. The other party definitely has the intention to eat us up. If not, he wouldn't initiate the battle. Maybe, and Dong's real motive is your mask and the treasure behind it. Yu Yang waved his hand. Jiada, thank you for your kindness. I only have one thing to say. If you want to be my friend, the only thing you have to do is to trust me. Chapter 366. Although that was what Yu Yang said, the fat toad Jiada had another thought in his heart. In this world, it was impossible for the weak to be friends with the strong. Just like how he wouldn't be friends with his guards or servants, the relationship between the weak and the strong would always be that of a master and a servant. The reason why this young human said all these to him was probably not because he wanted to be friends with him, but because he wanted to be his business agent. Of course, the fat toad Jiada didn't dislike this difference in status. He even agreed with it. If Titan was really strong enough, then it wouldn't be a bad idea for him to change to a new backer. It didn't matter who he worked for, as long as the backer was strong enough. Although the Golden Toad Merchant Guild was one of the top 95 large merchant guilds, Jiada was only a small branch in the Golden Toad clan. His position wasn't high. If he could really work under the powerful Titan, it would definitely not be a bad thing. The only problem was, would Titan be able to return unscathed from the encirclement of the 3 chief guards? This young human ranker, was his strength really as strong as he was confident in? If he could return with a great victory? The fat toad Jiada made a decision in his heart. He was a daring merchant and was an expert in opportunism. Let's go. Yu Yang didn't care about what the fat toad Jiada was thinking about. In the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower, everything was 100 times simpler than in the soaring dragon continent or the Huaxia Empire. There weren't any seniors here, and there weren't any complicated relationships to speak of. As long as one had strength, he could do whatever he wanted. In other words, strength decides everything. Without strength, one would be nothing. To Yu Yang, the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower allowed him to be like a fish in water. In the soaring dragon continent, above Yu Yang, there were still Elder Yu Hai, Jun Wu Yu, and the others. Even if they didn't restrict Yu Yang's life, the relationship between a senior, a junior, and a subject would still exist. In the same situation, when Yu Yang came to the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower, no matter how many soaring dragon continent rankers there were, as long as they were not as strong as Yu Yang, they would take the initiative to show respect to Yu Yang. They would not show their seniority in front of Yu Yang. Everything in human society would not work here. Yu Yang was very confident because he was strong. Qilan continents and Dong. Yu Yang did not even put him in his eyes. In this Thunder Fortress, there was only one person worthy of Yu Yang's caution, and that was the innate level 8 Chong and I. Not only did Chong In-ai possess the power of a level 8 innate, he was also extremely cunning. A ranker who killed people like flies and was accepted by the innate alliance, his intelligence was definitely not something Huang Sha, who was at the same level as him, could compare to. Because Huang Sha's characteristics were countered by water, Yu Yang, Little Wen Li, Shui Wuxia, and the other girls worked together to kill him in the prison emperor's second hall. That failure was not a demonstration of his true strength. It could be said that Huang Sha, who possessed the power of an innate level 8, died in Yu Yang's hands unjustly. If Yu Yang were to fight Huang Sha head-on with his sword and spear, he might not be able to defeat Huang Sha. Even if Chong In-ai and Huang Sha had the same level of strength, if Yu Yang wanted to fight him, Huang Sha's encirclement method would definitely not be replicated. Huang Sha, Ming Rihao, and Ngu had already informed Yu Yang of their weaknesses. No one knew what Chong Ni's weaknesses were. The only information that Yu Yang knew was that this fellow had unintentionally offended Night Empress and was chased by her. However, he managed to escape very cunningly and only suffered light injuries. Once he escaped, he immediately begged Elder Nangong to help him. He used 9 meteorite crystals to apologize to Night Empress and eliminate this grudge. Based on Chong Ni's humble attitude, Yu Yang could imagine how smart and patient this fellow was. Night Empress ranking in the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower wasn't high. Many people even thought that she was a member of the Innate Alliance. Only those who reached the 9th floor of Tong Tian Tower knew that her strength was just below Jizun. Among the countless rankers from different clans, she would definitely fight her way into the top 10 or even the top 5. Although Skylaw's impatience was arrogant, she would never look down on Yu Yang when she talked about Night Empress. Of course, Night Empress wasn't the only one who hid her strength. For example, Falling Kang Mountain's demonic palace's sky execution. The impatience who had leveled up to innate level 10 once told Yu Yang that even if she leveled up to innate level 10, she wouldn't be able to compare to Sky Execution. Sky Execution was a ranker who was close to Jizun. His strength had even surpassed the 3 demonic palace leaders who founded the demonic palace in the Falling Kang Mountain. Shun Tian and Thousand Goblins sect leaders' strength was clear. Even if they were hiding their strength, it wouldn't be too much. Night Empress and Sky Execution were different. These two people's strength was completely hidden in the dark. No one knew what realm these two people's true strength had reached. It was still too early to catch up to Jizun, Night Empress, and challenge Sky Execution. That was Yu Yang's long-term goal. It was still too early to challenge Shun Tian, Thousand Goblins sect leader, Baruth, and Ha Xian. However, this innate level 8 Chong In-ai was Yu Yang's chosen touchstone. If he couldn't beat those who were too strong, he would first find someone above average to practice on. This was Yu Yang's current plan to level up. Fight monsters. No one would challenge the final boss right from the start. That wasn't fighting monsters, it was seeking death. Just like in Diablo, no one would challenge the big boss right from the start. A newbie would definitely run to the underground cave to find a corpse to vent his anger on. For someone like Yu Yang who had a certain level of strength, he wouldn't be interested in a small boss that could vent his anger on a corpse. At the very least, he would fight Mizzen. As the slave arena appeared in front of him, Yu Yang withdrew from his thoughts. Countless people were pointing fingers at Yu Yang, the newbie. They felt that Yu Yang was seeking death by challenging 3 lesser innates. Some gamblers rushed over and shouted loudly, cursing Yu Yang to die early so that they could win their money. There were also quite a number of men and women who saw Yu Yang killing Gunai Te in an instant. They hurriedly pulled their companions away to prevent Yu Yang from going crazy. It was never a good thing to provoke a rancor. Brat, go back to your mother's arms and drink milk. Such a skinny bag of bones. Lier and the rest will beat the sh*t out of you. Start crying now. You won't be able to cry later. Did you see his eyes? I can see that he is trembling. This coward. Does anyone want to buy his flesh? I have already told Mr. Ndong that his corpse belongs to me. Those who want to eat human flesh, please sign up. I will give you a cup of frozen ale for free for 3 portions of meat. Organs? What did you say? Do you think that after being beaten by the air and the rest, this brat will still have his organs left? I dare say that his intestines will be pulled out by the air and the rest and fly around his neck like a kite. Countless shouts could be heard from the crowd. There were even people who wanted to squeeze over and beat up Yu Yang. These were the crazy gamblers who had bet on Yu Yang to lose. Yu Yang held the crescent moon blade in his hand, and all the gamblers who tried to sneak attack him along the way, as well as those who wanted to spit on him, were all chopped off. The ground was littered with broken hands, and countless lips, tongues, and ears were cut off. Following the continuous screams, the scolding crowd was thrown into chaos. Countless people ran away in fear. Those who were slow were already stepped on by others. For the first time, in front of the slave gladiator arena, a large number of spectators were injured by the gladiators. No one dared to do so. No one dared to offend all the spectators. Only Yu Yang, the newcomer who had just arrived for less than an hour, dared to use the sharp blade in his hand to tell them what the new rules were. There was a type of person who was born to change the rules. For example, Yu Yang. No one dared to scold Yu Yang to his face anymore. Of course, behind his back, where Yu Yang could not see or hear them, they were still scolding him. Almost everyone bet on Yu Yang to lose. The fat toad Jada struggled with his thoughts for a while. In the end, he gritted his teeth and bet 10,000 gold on Yu Yang. This was not the money of the merchant guild, but a tenth of his life savings. Jada was not a crazy gambler, but he was a smart merchant. If Yu Yang lost, he would definitely suffer a great loss, but it would not affect his vitality. He still had the capital to start afresh. If Yu Yang won, then he would earn a fortune. Opportunities would not always appear in front of him. Jada felt that he had to grab hold of some opportunities. If not, he would forever be a small merchant in a district of the Golden Toad Merchant Guild. How much did you bet? Before Yu Yang entered the arena, he suddenly turned his head and asked Jada. Not much. Cough, cough. I did not bring much money. Jada was shocked and hurriedly explained, Mr. Titan, I could definitely believe in you. I bet on you to win. Do you have to pay for whatever you bet on? Yu Yang asked again. You want to bet too? Jada was surprised. Under normal circumstances, gladiators were not allowed to participate in gambling because they were afraid of fraud. Of course, no one would really follow this kind of written rule. As long as one did not bet on himself to lose, even if the gladiator placed a full bet, they would still be welcomed in the slave arena. The full bet in the slave arena was 100,000 gold. Other than the real rich, no one would bet that much. There were even some poor people who wanted to gamble but did not have the money to bet on goods. It was just that the money they bet on would be half of the market price. Help me bet this. Yu Yang took out a huge bag from his lich ring. Ah, okay. The fat toad Jada thought that was a gold nugget or some kind of special, or, after he won, he would ask the fat dong for the Thunder Oregon unexpectedly. When he opened the betting area, he was completely stunned. The betting officer who was about to shout out 5 items to bet, half price for the old ones, was so shocked that his jaw was dislocated. He could not say a single word. This was because the items that Yu Yang had bet were 5 platinum grimoires with different patterns. If he won, what would he use as compensation? Compensation? God knows how much the platinum grimoire would be valued. These were all priceless treasures. The recording officer's actions were very fast. He first wrapped up the 5 platinum grimoires and threw them into the pile of items at the back as if he was throwing cabbages. He then wrote down a wager. Here are 5 old and broken platinum grimoires as collateral. Everything will be decided by fate. If you lose, there will be no refund. If you win, there will be a refund. The payout is only half of the market price. While the fat toad Jada and the betting officer were still in a state of shock, he had completed all the procedures. He then stuffed the wager into Jada's hands and shouted towards the window, "Quick, next!" This shout woke the registrar up with a start. He first wanted to snatch back the wager from Jada's hands. However, Jada immediately ran away, not giving him a chance to regret. The betting officer grabbed the collar of the wooden-looking recording officer and shouted angrily, "Damn it! Are you blind? Didn't you see what was just now? You actually dared to accept the wager. What if that fatty Giotto won? What will we use to compensate him? The payout is 1 to 10. Damn it, if that damn Titan wins, we will have to compensate him with 50 platinum grimoires. Even if it's half price, we will still have to compensate him with 25 platinum grimoires. Where are you going to find 25 platinum grimoires to compensate him? The recording officer was stunned. What platinum grimoire? The betting officer's brain almost bled. He screamed in despair. Don't tell me you didn't see what it was just now. Wasn't it 5 books? Only then did the recording officer realize that something was wrong. He looked at the record book in his hands. Here are 5 old and broken platinum grimoires as collateral. Platinum grimoire? My God, which idiot would do such a thing? This fellow is crazy. He actually used a platinum grimoire as a bet. That's not important. What's important is that he won. How are we going to compensate him? The betting officer felt that the sky was collapsing. Listen to me, buddy. I didn't react at all just now. I thought it was 5 books. Damn it. Those poor bastards always use those rotten books as collateral. I'm already used to receiving books. I didn't even know that it was 5 platinum grimoires. If I knew that it was 5 platinum grimoires, I wouldn't have accepted it even if my head was crushed by a door. The recording officer realized that his numb and habitual movements had caused a huge problem. Damn it, that's not important. What's important is that you have accepted the collateral now. If that brat called Titan wins, Giotto will ask us for 25 platinum grimoires. Lord and Dong will slaughter us alive and make our meat into sausages. I dare say that you will definitely receive the same treatment as me. The betting officer's forehead was full of sweat and his whole body was trembling. I say, buddy, maybe it's not that hopeless. Look at Giotto's wager. What's that? He bet on that brat Titan. That brat is going against 3 lesser innates. Leal and the others will definitely not lose. We will definitely win this bet. There's nothing to be afraid of. We will definitely win. The unlucky Giotto will cry. The one who should cry is him. The recording officer was also sweating profusely. You're saying that we can win these 5 platinum grimoires. Lord and Dong won't be angry, and they will even reward us heavily? The betting officer also felt that there was a ray of light in the sky. Maybe. No, that's for sure. The recording officer comforted his partner and himself at the same time. The two of them didn't care about the gamblers outside the window who wanted to place their bets. They all listened attentively, hoping to hear the good news that the 3 lesser innates had defeated the newbie called Titan. Following an earth-shattering commotion, everything suddenly fell silent. This silence caused the two of them to feel a chill down their spines. Not good. If the 3 guard leaders had one, then everyone should be cheering. Could it be that the newcomer Titan had one? But that's not right either. How could the newbie Titan defeat 3 lesser innates? The two of them rushed out without a care and squeezed to a corner of the wrestling arena while panting. They stuck their heads out from the crowd and looked down. Looking down, the two of them were immediately scared out of their wits. In the wrestling arena, 2 of the 3 guard leaders were lying on the ground. It was unknown whether they were dead or alive, while the last one was trembling in fear. More than 10 beasts' corpses had been decapitated. A platinum-ranked Reaper Mantis was holding 2 beasts in its scythe. A Thunder Lizard was already dead, while the poison spot-flying Dragon King was still alive. However, its head was being devoured by the Reaper Mantis. Even a blind person could tell who won this battle. The recording officer and the betting officer's vision darkened as they fainted. The fat and Dong, who was sitting on the embroidered couch, had a very bad expression on his face. He looked like a widow whose only son had died. Giotto looked at him and sneered in his heart. This guy still didn't know what was going to happen next. If he knew that he would have to pay Titan 25 platinum grimoires, his expression would definitely be even more interesting. Chapter 367. Everyone had lost. Countless disappointed gamblers tore their bets into pieces and threw them all over the floor. Because of the 3 guard leaders' incompetence, these guys who had lost money all turned to Yu Yang's side and shouted in unison, "Kill! Kill him!" Hearing the crazy shouts, and Dong's face became even uglier. However, there was someone who looked even uglier than him. That person was the only remaining guard leader, Lier. He was the strongest among the three, so he had survived until now. However, he was only one step away from death. As long as Yu Yang wanted, Lier could die at any time. Not to mention a strong opponent. Even the Reaper Mantis with terrifying speed would be able to kill him. The Thunder Lizard and the green-spotted Wyvern King were both Leals. They were once arrogant and powerful in the underground city, but now they had become food for the Reaper Mantis. Never in his dreams had he imagined that this nobody called Titan would actually be strong to such an extent. Originally, he thought that with the three of them, they could easily kill the other party. Unexpectedly, even after drinking the bloodthirsty frenzy potion, his two companions, whose strength had increased by several times, were still easily defeated by the other party. This seemingly weak young man had an unimaginable amount of power in his body. When he made a move, it was impossible to defend against him. Fighting with him was like 3 ants trying to shake a mammoth elephant. Unfortunately, Leo realized that he had realized this too late. "Spare me. I can use all the money I have to redeem my life." Lier begged for mercy. "Sorry, I don't lack money." Yu Yang was indifferent. Sitting beside Ndong, a man wearing a wide-brimmed hat, suddenly transmitted his voice to Ndong. "How does it feel to lose a bet? Is it very uncomfortable? If you haven't forgotten, I just placed a full bet on this Titan, a total of 100,000 gold coins. I know that 1 million gold coins is nothing to you, but I hope to get it as soon as possible. If you use your shares in the Thunder Mine to repay me, I will be even happier." Ndong's face was ashen, his fat jiggling. "I haven't lost yet." The man wearing the wide-brimmed hat shrugged his shoulders. "Of course, but I believe it will be soon." Hearing this, Ndong's face was like a dead pork. He gritted his teeth and slapped the female devil slave who was about to feed him wine, sending her flying to the ground. "Get lost. Hurry up and invite Mr. Meng and Mr. Nian. Hurry up, or I'll kill you." The man in the wide-brimmed hat grinned and said with a faint smile, "Mr. Anton, do you want to bet again? This time, if you don't mind, I'll put down another 100,000. 1 million. If you have the guts, bet 1 million against me. It's 1 to 2, I've won, and the previous debt is cleared." And Dong angrily slapped the brocade couch, almost breaking it. "If you lose, I want 1/5 of your shares in the mine." The man in the wide-brimmed hat nodded in agreement. On the battlefield, Yu Yang ignored Liu's pleas. He dug out all the beast's magic crystals and kept them properly. He casually instructed Liu, "I'll give you a chance to commit suicide. Don't take too long. My patience isn't that good." Hearing this, the gamblers cheered like a tsunami. Although this brat had caused everyone to lose money and had even injured many of them previously, no one was willing to support a loser. The winner was everyone's favorite. Hearing this, despair filled Liu's face. At the same time, an indescribable sense of savagery emerged. He glared at Yu Yang with hatred and cursed. "You forced me to do this. If you want to die, let's die together." Liu, who was chanting rapidly, had a red light flash on his body. His entire body swelled up as if he was inflating. In the blink of an eye, he had turned into a blood-red human ball. Self-destruct. Even a blind person could see that Liu had no hope of surviving and was prepared to die together with the Titan. Jiada's heart was in his throat. He was worried for Yu Yang. However, Yu Yang acted as if he did not see it. Only when Liu's body swelled to its limit did he stretch out a finger and pierce the roundest belly of the blood-red human ball. Countless energy gushed out like a volcano eruption. Yu Yang rotated both of his hands. That violent and explosive energy became like an obedient kitten. Under the control of the Yang ability, it changed from violent to docile, from fast to slow, from rotating to still, condensing into a blood-red ball of light. Finally, it was kept into the lich ring and disappeared. In the arena, only Liu, who was all skin and bones, was left. He was not dead yet, but everyone knew that this fellow was in a worse state than death. He who had completely lost all his energy had become a cripple. From a lesser innate to a cripple, no one could accept such a change. Even if he did not die, he would commit suicide. Liu fell to the ground. No one cared about his life or death anymore. Who would care about a cripple's life or death? And Dong sat up and raised his voice. Mr. Titan, you've won this battle. If you're interested, let's fight again. This time, you only need to fight with 2 people. I'll raise the money by 10 times. I'll give you 100,000. Do you dare? If you don't dare, then you're a coward, a spineless coward. Yu Yang raised his head and stared at Dong with a gaze as sharp as a sword. His aura was like a ferocious tiger staring at a fat pig. Everyone was watching the show. Everyone felt that Dong, this huge fatty, would become a dead pig. Yu Yang snorted coldly. Mr. Dong, please do not insult a strong martial artist. If not, you'll have to be careful of your life. This time, I will forgive you for your words after you apologize. If there's a next time, I'll kill you. The dense murderous intent was like the arrival of a demon king. Dong was so scared that he couldn't help but shiver. Not to mention Dong. Even the spectators in Dong's direction were sweating from Yu Yang's murderous intent. They were afraid that they would be implicated in the fight and cause trouble for Dong. All right, I apologize. I did speak too quickly in a moment of desperation. But if you think you're a strong martial artist, then accept my challenge. Dong was a cunning tycoon. He was extremely sly and experienced. He knew that the dignity of a strong martial artist couldn't be violated. Naturally, he wouldn't be stingy with his apology. In his heart, in order to wait for Yu Yang to agree, he could endure anything. As long as the other party fell into his trap, it would be time for him to make a comeback. This isn't fair. We've obviously won, but you're saying that this battle doesn't count. Mr. Dong, this isn't in line with the rules set by King Chong and I. There were a few people who had seen Yu Yang defeat Gunai Te in a second. With a fluke mentality, they placed a small bet on Yu Yang's victory. Now that they saw that the victory didn't count, of course they objected. Moreover, if they were to lose the next battle, then the money they had just won would be gone too. In order to appease the crowd, Dong could only say, of course this battle counts. But now, there's another option. You can continue to place your bets. You can bet on Mr. Titan winning 2 battles consecutively. You can also bet on my men turning the tables. Especially those who lost money just now. Your chance to make a comeback is here. I'll give you half an hour. You can continue to place your bets. The new rate is 1, 2. If you bet on Mr. Titan winning, you'll get 1, 2. There were betting spots all around the arena. Those who had lost their bets just now immediately left and rushed over to place their bets. This time, even a fool would know to bet on the powerful newcomer, Titan. There were also many who bet on Yu Yang's consecutive victories. Among them, the fat toad Jiada was the most enthusiastic. He bet his entire life savings, which was a total of 90,000 gold coins. Even if he lost, he would have earned around 10,000 gold coins from the previous battle. If he won again, then it would become 280,000 gold coins. If he had 280,000 gold coins, he could open a small business and become a small boss. He wouldn't need to listen to the elders in his tribe anymore. As for Yu Yang's bet, the fat toad Jiada felt that Dong, this fatty, would not be able to afford it even if he cut off his flesh and sold it every day. This was because he had taken advantage of the chaos at the betting point to place the receipt that he had bet on to win the bet at another betting point. This was a common practice in the underground arena. Because there was not enough time, many people would directly bet on the receipt for winning the bet. They would bet all their money from the previous round and then exchange it for a new receipt. If he won, then he would become rich overnight. If he lost, it would mean that he had not won at all. He would lose all his capital. Jiada was very cunning. He did not go to the betting spot on the west side to place the receipt. Instead, he went to the betting spot on the east side. The announcer and recorder on the west side were afraid of death and did not dare to report the matter immediately. The betting officer and the recording officer at the east side did not know that it was a certificate of deposit for victory, and there were too many people placing their bets. They did not even have time to read what was written on it and immediately shouted, "An old and tattered certificate of deposit from the casino." But all on God's luck. If you lose, it will not be refunded. If you win, it will be refunded. The odds are 1, 2. The recording officer hurriedly copied the new certificate of deposit and sealed the old one with a brown paper bag before stuffing it into the drawer. As he stuffed the new certificate into Giada's palm, he shouted, "Next, quick!" "Thank you, thank you." Giada thanked him politely on the surface, but in his heart, he was so excited that he almost went crazy. With this bet, the 25 platinum grimoire would become 50 platinum grimoire. 50 platinum grimoires, not to mention in Dong. Even Chong and I, the owner of the Thunder Fortress, couldn't afford it. Now, they just had to wait for Titan to win, and then slowly watch Anton suffer. That damned fatty who was 10 times fatter than a pig would definitely cry bitterly, right? Just thinking about 50 platinum grimoires, Giada would tremble uncontrollably. When Giada returned to the arena, he did not even have the time to speak to Yu Yang before he was suddenly surrounded by curses. The loud curses from the gamblers were directed at Yu Yang. Everyone hoped that he would lose. Now, it was the complete opposite. At this moment, everyone's curses were directed at Ndong. When the fat toad Giada saw the two people standing on the opposite side of the arena, he couldn't help but curse loudly. F***CK. Ndong, you dog, SH**T. F***CK, your 18 generations of ancestors. What made Giada so agitated were the two new gladiators that Ndong had invited. One of them was called Nightmare, while the other was called Tiger Nyen. These two people were extremely notorious. Everyone in the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower knew who they were. Even someone as despicable and shameless as Giada would despise these two fellows when he mentioned them. This was because these two were the scum of the scum. If not for the fact that both of them had the strength of a level 3 innate, 90% of the audience would have rushed out to tear them into pieces. In the entire 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower, there was almost no place for these two people to stay other than the Thunder Fortress and a few thieves' lairs. The Warrior Guild, Mercenary Guild, and Assassin Guild all had their own bounties. Anyone who killed Nightmare and Tiger Nyen would be rewarded with a Black Dragon Pearl, Wisdom Fruit, or a gold-ranked weapon. Only the top 100 murderous demons on the Bloody Villain list would have such a bounty. Of course, Nightmare and Tiger Nyen were the top 100 evildoers on the Bloody Villain list. Although they had the strength of an innate, the innate alliance excluded these two people and disdained them to join. Nightmare and Tiger Nyen, even in the Thunder Fortress, they were hated by everyone. No one liked them, including Chong and I who took them in. Chong and I had said more than once, "They are all rotten dog, SH**T. Don't ever let me see them again." He didn't mention the reason, but many people felt that Chong and I took in Nightmare and Tiger Nyen because their master had once saved Chong and I when he was still young. Taking them in was to repay Chong and I for saving their master's life. Nightmare and Tiger Nyen, who had joined hands to kill their master, were probably the people that Chong and I hated the most. Two innate level 3 innates, Nightmare and Tiger Nyen, who were extremely cruel and bloodthirsty. This was not as simple as 3 lesser innates. Titan, could he continue to win this second battle? Giada's heart beat rapidly as he thought about it. He was sweating profusely, but he couldn't be bothered to wipe it off. He could only stare at the changes in the arena. The atmosphere in the arena was extremely tense. The battle was about to start. Chapter 368. Nightmare was a tall and skinny man. Not only was he skinny, his arms and legs were long and slender. Yu Yang remembered that he had learned an article before, but his memory was a little blurry. It seemed to be Lu Sun's hometown, where Madame Yang's legs were like compasses. This was still fresh in Yu Yang's memory. He guessed that this Nightmare with his hands on his waist was similar. If his hair was shorter, he would look like a skinny version of Master Xie Yaolong. However, that Tiger Nyen was different. Although Tiger Nyen was older, his hair was thick and black, like a hedgehog's, making him look especially energetic. His thick palms and muscular body contained explosive power. His pair of tiger eyes shone with a terrifying light. If it wasn't for his slightly spotted beard, no one would be able to tell that he was an old man. Both of them were innate level 3 rankers and had summoning grimoires. What surprised Yu Yang was that they only had gold grimoires. He remembered that Impatience had told Yu Yang that there was a type of person who used some kind of external force to forcefully level up to the innate realm. This was because this method used up all of one's potential in order to level up. That was why true rankers didn't bother to use it. Of course, some people who were impatient to obtain innate strength would use this method. However, the price they had to pay was that their innate realm would always be below innate level 3. Their summoning grimoires would also be limited to their previous level, with no possibility of leveling up. Previously, Yu Yang had seen the 7 great bears who were forcefully leveled up by Shen Tian. Yao Guang, Kai Yang, and Tian Quan didn't have high potential and were only below innate level 3. However, they all had platinum grimoires. This proved that Yao Guang and Tian Quan were still considered to be late in leveling up. Usually, they only leveled up after reaching platinum grimoires. Unexpectedly, Nightmare and Tiger Nian didn't even have platinum grimoires. They only had gold grimoires. Yu Yang didn't know about Nightmare and Tiger Nian's past. If he were to ask about the people in the Thunder Fortress, he would be shocked. Back then, in order to reach the innate realm, Nightmare and Tiger Nian plotted to murder their master who had wholeheartedly imparted his skills to them. Then, they forcefully devoured their master's body and energy like wild beasts and reached the innate realm in one go. It was precisely because they were so insane that the innate alliance excluded them and didn't acknowledge their abilities. Yao Guang and Tian Quan were able to reach the innate realm with the help of Shen Tian's hand and the special medicine. He was already looked down upon, not to mention the gourmet's Nightmare and Tiger Nian. Although the 7 great bears didn't have a good reputation in the 6th floor of Tong Tian Tower, compared to Nightmare and Tiger Nian, the 7 great bears were good kids. Junior, you're really arrogant. Nightmare's sharp, needle-like voice sneered, piercing one's eardrums. Are these your last words? Yu Yang took out a small notebook and scribbled a few lines of words on it, as if he was recording something. What do you mean? Although Tiger Nian was arrogant, he was cautious by nature. He was curious and suspicious of Yu Yang's notebook. Not only the two of them, but everyone present also wanted to know what Yu Yang had written in his notebook. Facing 2 innate level 3 rankers, facing Nightmare and Tiger Nian, how could he still have the mood to record? I suddenly remembered that if I kill you, I might be able to exchange some good stuff from the Mercenary Guild. I have to record it down so that it won't go to waste. Yu Yang's words were like a barrel of gunpowder exploding, causing the crowd to boil. He was too arrogant, not to mention the outsiders. Even Jada felt that Yu Yang was too arrogant. 2 innate level 3 rankers, not 2 ordinary level 3 tofu men. He hadn't even fought with them, and he wanted to take their heads to claim the reward? What kind of people were Nightmare and Tiger Nian? There were at least 99,999 people who wanted to kill them. However, these 2 people who were despised by everyone were still alive and well. They had to admit that these 2 people were really powerful. If they were slightly weaker, their graves would have been filled with weeds, and they would still be able to live happily in the Thunder Fortress. Especially those who knew about Nightmare and Tiger Nian's abilities, they felt that Yu Yang would definitely lose. Nightmare and Tiger Nian were both powerful innate level 3 rankers, and they even had special beasts. In the past, when they were not innates, they managed to kill their innate level 5 master together. From this, it could be seen how terrifying their beasts were. The Fat and Dong laughed coldly. This brat is dead meat. The mysterious man wearing a wide-brimmed hat shrugged his shoulders. Mr. Ndong, please forgive me. I can't agree with you. I don't deny that Nightmare and Tiger Nian's beasts are special, but they are not undefeatable. The Fat and Dong's face darkened. Are you going to report to that brat? The man wearing a wide-brimmed hat spread his hands elegantly. Don't think that I'm like you. Since we're playing a game, I will definitely follow the rules. That's for the best. Please don't forget that you've placed a bet of 1 million gold. And Dong warned him again. Do you want me to thank you for your reminder? The mysterious man didn't care about Ndong's attitude at all. At the side of the arena, Jia was wringing his hands. He didn't know if he should remind Mr. Tai Tan that Nightmare and Tiger Nyen's beasts were very special. If Mr. Tai Tan lost, he would have wasted all his efforts. However, if he took the initiative to break the rules, it would be fine if he won. No one would care about the winner's mistakes, but if he lost, he would probably be killed. Should he watch Tai Tan fail because he didn't know how powerful his opponent's beasts were? Even if it wasn't for his 280,000 gold, he should at least think about his new friend, although it was just a casual sentence. At the very least, he had said the word friend. A ranker saying friend to a merchant, there probably weren't many people like that in the entire Tong Tian Tower. Jada got excited and left his seat. He squeezed the side of the arena and shouted, "Wait a minute, are you trying to disrupt the competition?" A dozen guards immediately surrounded him. I'm his friend. I just want to show my support. Do you want to drink water? Take a rest first. You've already fought a battle just now. It's not fair to start another battle now. Jada waved the water bag in his hands. He was prepared to wait for Yu Yang to come back for a drink before secretly telling him about Nightmare and Tiger Nyen's special beasts. No need. The battle will end soon. It won't take much effort. Yu Yang smiled indifferently. He even hinted to Jada not to be too nervous. Jada sweated profusely. Was this brat too arrogant or too young? Could it be that he couldn't tell what he meant? He didn't really want him to drink water, nor did he want him to rest. He just wanted to tell him something. Could it be that he really couldn't tell? Jada was about to speak again when he suddenly remembered what Yu Yang said not long ago. I'll only say one thing. If you want to be my friend, the only thing you have to do is to trust me. Should he continue to trust him? Previously, when the three guards were fighting, he was already worried. However, Yu Yang immediately won the battle and completely destroyed his doubts and worries. He even made a huge profit from it. Now, the battle was about to start again. Could he really not trust him for once? Fat Toad Jada gritted his teeth and nodded towards Yu Yang. Although the word trust was a laughable existence to the Jada in the past, but now he was willing to try to trust him for once. Just once. Hearing Yu Yang's arrogant reply, everyone had different reactions. And Dong sneered. The gamblers all cheered passionately. They loved arrogant rankers. Weaklings? Let all the weaklings die. The gamblers didn't support obedient people. They wanted an arrogant, flashy, and strong winner. Of course, there were some gamblers who bet on Yu Yang to lose curse loudly. However, because there were too few of them, their voices were drowned out by the cheers. Tiger Nyen sneered silently. Junior, if you want to die early, I'll fulfill your wish. Nightmare placed his hand on his gold grimoire and summoned it quickly. A black light emerged from the summoning grimoire. Thick smoke rose into the air. Then, it rotated above the entire arena and turned into a layer of black mist. Slowly it descended. Yu Yang didn't have any reaction at all as he watched quietly. The ground of the arena suddenly split open. Blood-red-hot lava spurted out and spread towards Yu Yang's legs. Yu Yang didn't move. The lava surrounded Yu Yang's legs and formed an encirclement, causing Yu Yang to be unable to move an inch. At this moment, the arena was extremely hot. Everyone was sweating profusely. Jia, who was at the side of the arena, was sweating profusely. The ground where Nightmare and Tiger Nyen's legs were standing on rose up, forming two tall pillars. Countless pieces of soil, as well as the collapsed walls of the arena and some metal cages that were used to store beasts, had all fallen into the boiling magma. With a sizzling sound, they quickly turned into green smoke and melted. In the blink of an eye, they became part of the lava. Yu Yang's eyes were calm and unchanging. It was as if the lava surrounding him didn't exist at all. At this moment, under the control of Nightmare's fingers, countless spikes drilled out from the ground and pierced through Yu Yang's feet. Blood splattered everywhere, causing the audience to gasp in shock. Nightmare summoned for the third time. A meteor fell from the sky and smashed towards Yu Yang's head. Yu Yang didn't move an inch. The meteor brushed past his scalp and smashed beside him with a loud bang, causing a large amount of lava to splatter. The huge shockwave caused everyone to fall onto the ground. Many of them screamed in agony as they were scalded by the lava. Their bodies were on fire, and they cried, slapped, or rolled to extinguish the fire. The fat toad, Giada's heavy and fat body, flew high into the air and hung on the edge of the VIP seats on the second floor of the arena. His butt was hit by some lava, and it was sizzling as it caught fire. Giada's face was contorted in pain, but he clenched his teeth to prevent himself from screaming. Not bad. It would be great if chili powder could fall from the sky. Yu Yang suddenly said, "Chili powder?" Everyone was stunned. Why would he want chili powder? If I don't add some chili powder, this big bowl of noodles won't be flavorful enough. Eating noodles without some spiciness isn't satisfying enough. Yu Yang explained, "This is lava." Nightmare was so angry that his nose became crooked. What kind of look was that? Was this noodles? It was obviously lava, yet it had nothing to do with eating noodles. I agree. This is the Magma brand of instant noodles. If you add some hot water, add some chili powder or chili sauce, and stir-fry a poached egg, then it would be perfect. No, you have to add some vegetables. Say if there were some spare ribs left over from the fridge, and you could put 2 into the bowl, how good would that be? Yu Yang was almost drooling as he spoke, but no one in the audience could understand what he was saying. What instant noodles? What fridge? They had never heard of it before. Furthermore, what did eating noodles have to do with lava? Everyone scratched their heads, but they still couldn't understand. However, a strange thing happened. The boiling hot lava disappeared. In the middle of the arena, there was only a bowl the size of a wok, filled with noodles. There were poached eggs, spare ribs, and chili sauce inside. Yu Yang walked over with big strides. He held a pair of chopsticks in his hand, as if he was preparing to eat the noodles. Those who were attentive would notice that his leg that was pierced and the lava that splashed on his body had all disappeared. Everything was perfectly fine. What was even more strange was that Nightmare had turned into a white pig. The chopsticks in Yu Yang's hands turned into a butcher's knife. He explained, "There aren't enough spare ribs. I have to kill a pig and barbecue it, then add some roasted pork." "No, I'm not a pig. This is an illusion." Nightmare shrieked in fear. All the illusions disappeared. Yu Yang didn't move a single step and stood there quietly. Opposite him stood a shocked Tiger, Nyan, and Nightmare, who was drenched in sweat. What was even more shocking was that Nightmare was still screaming crazily. "I wasn't killed. I wasn't put on the table. No, I wasn't cut into pieces. I wasn't barbecued. No, this is my nightmare beast. This is an illusion. I didn't die." "Impossible. No one can control my beast. These are all illusions." "Tiger Nyan, save me." "No." "Tiger Nyan, you can't kill me. You can't betray me. We are." "Impossible. You're already dead. I've eaten you long ago. Don't know, master. Spare me." Nightmare's crazed scream stopped abruptly. It was as if he saw the most terrifying thing in the world. He fell to the ground and died with his body twitching. His eyes bulged out like a dead fish. His pupils dilated and slowly froze. Tiger Nyan shook Nightmare's body with all his might and slapped him repeatedly. He tried his best to wake Nightmare up in the illusion of his nightmare beast. Unfortunately, the only thing he could do was to watch his comrade, Nightmare, die in fear. Nightmare, a murderous maniac who could toy with his enemies, a crazy disciple who could kill his master with his beast, was now dead. He died in the hands of his own nightmare beast. In the illusion of the nightmare beast, everything was an illusory existence. However, as long as one agreed with it, it would become real. When a person died in the illusion, their real body would also die, because what was killed in the illusion was the soul. Under the control of Nightmare, this unique ability had killed countless powerful warriors. Even warriors who were stronger than Nightmare couldn't escape death. However, to Yu Yang, who could pass the illusion of Gemini Temple and Virgo Temple, this illusion was child's play. Furthermore, Yu Yang had the Heaven Eyes divine vision that could see through his opponent's ability. That's impossible. The giant fatty Indong was sweating profusely like a waterfall. He looked at Yu Yang, who was in the middle of the battlefield, in fear. His face was green and his lips were pale as he muttered to himself, "Impossible. This is an illusion. This brat can't kill Nightmare. That's Nightmare after all. Can I remind you, Mr. Indong? Mr. Anton, this is the truth." The mysterious man's lips curled into a smile. Chapter 369. As Nightmare died, his summoning grimoire and Nightmare Beast exploded violently. The gold grimoire became dull and lifeless. It had officially returned to its ownerless state. On the other hand, the Nightmare Beast disappeared in the illusory nothingness, leaving behind a small black pearl that rolled down to Yu Yang's feet. Yu Yang bent down and picked up the pearl and the gold grimoire, keeping them in his lich ring. This action was very fast. It was related to his habit of fighting monsters and snatching treasures on the internet. Yu Yang's hands had never been slow in making his moves. Fat Toe Jia started to understand where the 5 platinum grimoires came from. They were the spoils of war that Tai Tan obtained after killing his enemies. Gosh, what kind of enemies did he kill? Seeing Nightmare fall to the ground, the audience cheered, including those gamblers who bet on Yu Yang to lose. Everyone couldn't stand Nightmare and Tiger Nyan, these 2 scoundrels. But because they weren't strong enough, they had no choice but to go along with them. Now that Nightmare was killed and Tiger Nyan looked terrible, how could they not cheer? Tiger Nyan took out a weird-looking black staff and waved it lightly. A black light flashed. Everyone's mouth seemed to be sealed. They couldn't make a sound. The whole arena was dead silent. Gold-ranked treasure, silencing scepter. Everyone reacted immediately, but no one could speak under the power of silencing scepter. Those who were shouting to shut their mouths halfway were almost suffocated to death. Silencing scepter was a gold-ranked treasure. It didn't have any attack power, but to some rankers, it was the scariest weapon. For example, when an enemy needed to summon a beast with silencing scepter in hand, that person would die a horrible death. Not only did Tiger Nyan use silencing scepter to seal everyone's mouth, preventing them from cheering for Yu Yang, he also summoned a huge beast. This beast looked like a tiger. It was extremely huge. Its head and tail were 20 meters long. Its mountain-like body was extremely sturdy and contained boundless power. Its mouth was filled with dense, sharp teeth, and the horn on its head was emitting a strange green light, causing its body to expand by nearly half its original size. His eyes were like lightning, and his 4 claws created wind. Faster than lightning, he pounced in front of Yu Yang and stretched out his claws, ready to tear Yu Yang into pieces. In the sky, the Reaper Mantis, who had been circling around, pounced down without fear. The Reaper Mantis had seen a lot of strong beasts. Not to mention tiger-type beasts, it would even kill giant dragons without hesitation. It was not an ordinary Reaper Mantis. Under the nurturing of Yu Yang's dragon crystals and innate chi, with the help of the heaven runes and the purification and reconstruction of the Nirvana flame, it was definitely the Reaper Mantis with the greatest potential to grow. In the future, it would become a holy beast or even a divine beast. How could this gold-ranked level 8 tiger-type beast in front of it scare away a Reaper Mantis that could hunt and kill all beasts, including giant dragons? Of course, it was impossible. Although its level was slightly lower, its rank was higher. The Reaper Mantis was a platinum-ranked beast. The Reaper Mantis's sickle slashed deeply into the tiger-type beast's body, cutting a huge wound on its neck and tailbone. The smart Reaper Mantis had already abandoned its enemy before it could counterattack. It continued to circle in the sky, preparing for the second wave of attack. In reality, once a beast-type beast's neck and spine were severely injured, it would not be far from death. With the 2 sickles just now, the Reaper Mantis had already cut the tiger-type beast's arteries and trachea. It had almost cut off its entire head. Under normal circumstances, this tiger-type beast would definitely die. However, a strange thing happened. The tiger-type beast whose head was almost cut off did not bleed at all. Instead, the wound healed quickly. In less than 10 seconds, the fatal wound disappeared without a trace, as if it had never been injured. The tiger-type beast's horn flashed with green light, and a pair of wings slowly grew out from its back. It was like a bat, spreading out a pair of huge wings. It soared into the sky and pounced towards the Reaper Mantis. On the ground, Tiger Nien sneered silently. He exploded with the strength of a level 3 innate, and the shockwave shook the entire arena. He waved his huge fists of wind and thunder towards Yu Yang. Every punch made the entire arena feel suffocated. The wind from the punches made everyone feel nauseous, as if their bones were being squeezed. No one could imagine how strong the punches of the young titan, who was standing in front of Tiger Nien, was. Some of the spectators who were closer to the arena, or those who were in the path of Tiger Nien's punches, were in extreme pain. They had to use all their strength to defend themselves, and only then could they barely withstand the pressure from the punches that were tens or even hundreds of meters away. Yu Yang did not retaliate, nor did he retreat. He only swayed his upper body slightly. With that, he easily dodged Tiger Nien's punches. Even though Tiger Nien's punches were heavy and deadly, he didn't even touch a hair on Yu Yang after dozens of punches. The Reaper Mantis in the sky angrily tore the tiger-shaped beast that had overestimated itself and attacked it into two halves, throwing it onto the ground. However, that strange tiger-shaped beast was still able to fuse back together without any damage. In less than half a minute, it had recovered to its original state, completely unharmed. Jiada really wanted to shout at Yu Yang. This monster is called Nien. Other than sound, nothing can defeat it. He wanted to tell Yu Yang that he had to use sound, otherwise he wouldn't be able to defeat Nien, but he couldn't shout a single word. This was because Tiger Nien had already used the Silent Scepter to turn the entire arena into a dead silence. No one would be able to make a single sound. The Reaper Mantis had injured Nien countless times, but it was useless even if it cut it into 8 pieces. This strange beast could recover very quickly. On the contrary, Nien's huge claws, sharp teeth, and iron whip-like tail could injure the Reaper Mantis. Although the Reaper Mantis was extremely fast and suffered very few injuries, as the injuries accumulated, the situation became less optimistic. The battle was leaning towards Nien. After all, one was unafraid of any attacks, while the other could only dodge. There was still a difference between the two. All right, let's fight like this. This brat is dead for sure. That mantis is also dead for sure. The Fandong was inexplicably excited. He wanted to shout loudly, but his mouth was sealed too, and he couldn't make a single sound. In the entire arena, only the mysterious man wearing a wide-brimmed hat was still smiling, as if he still had high hopes for Yu Yang. Seeing that his beast was gaining the upper hand, Tiger Nien's murderous intent intensified. He was completely different from Nightmare. Nightmare's spirit was strong, but he wasn't good at close combat. Once he met an opponent whose spirit wasn't affected, Nightmare could be killed instantly. Other than Nien, which was unafraid of attacks, Tiger Nien also had the close combat ability of a level 3 innate. As long as his beast could suppress his opponent's beast, he could definitely kill his opponent in close combat. For example, right now, he was prepared to use his strongest and most secretive move, 3 strokes of the ferocious tiger. Back then, when he faced his master who he couldn't win against, under Nightmare's mental suppression, he used Nien and 3 strokes of the ferocious tiger to successfully kill his master. He devoured most of his master's body and became an innate rancor. Even his master, who was a level 5 innate, couldn't escape death. Of course, Tiger Nien didn't deny that Nightmare contributed to killing his master. Without his mental suppression, Nightmare wouldn't have been able to kill his master. However, it was an undeniable fact that 3 strokes of the ferocious tiger killed his master. After reaching level 3 innate, 3 strokes of the ferocious tiger became Tiger Nien's strongest move. None of his enemies had survived. Ferocious Tiger Strike. Tiger Nien gathered all his strength and formed a gigantic Nien beast. Together with the real Nien beast, they circled around Yu Yang, making it hard to tell which was the real one. In the end, they circled faster and faster until it was hard to tell which was which with the naked eye. When Tiger Nien felt that the time was ripe, he attacked again. With the momentum of a ferocious tiger, he pounced towards Yu Yang. Ferocious Tiger's strike could penetrate through defense and was unstoppable. The gigantic energy tiger pierced through Yu Yang's body. Just as Tiger Nian was about to celebrate, it mysteriously disappeared without a trace. It didn't explode like before. Similarly, the Nian beasts that were attacking together were caught by the Reaper Mantis in mid-air as it swooped down. It was chopped into two and thrown down. Tiger Nian was shocked. He couldn't imagine how the other party could tell which was real and which was fake. It was impossible to tell which was real and which was fake with the naked eye. Not to mention human eyes. Even the Eagle clan with the best eyesight couldn't tell the difference between his energy tiger and the Nian beast. Moreover, although the energy tiger was fake, its attack power wasn't any weaker than the Nian beast. How could this brat be fine after the energy tiger pierced through his body? Tiger Nian really couldn't understand this. However, he didn't have time to think. Once the ferocious tiger strike was used, he had to continue with the second move. Otherwise, his body would be greatly damaged. The gathered energy continued to explode, and the second energy tiger, like the Nian beast, appeared. From 20 meters tall, it was compressed to its limit, turning into a dark black hungry tiger that was only 5 meters tall. Of course, after the energy was compressed, its power was 10 times stronger than before. The black hungry tiger that had been compressed was as fast as lightning. In the blink of an eye, it pounced towards Yu Yang. Under its master's control, it fiercely bit towards Yu Yang's body. With this bite, not to mention a human body, even a mountain rock would be smashed into powder. Before the second move, Bite of the Hungry Tiger could bite Yu Yang's body, the third move arrived. Tiger Nian transformed into a tiger beast. With his hands as his teeth and the upper half of his body as a tiger's head, he attacked Yu Yang together with the bite of the hungry tiger. When Yu Yang broke apart to support himself, he turned around and spun rapidly. His arms lowered diagonally and his upper body leaned forward. With his left leg as the axis, his right leg lashed towards Yu Yang's ribs like a giant whip. This was Tiger Nian's most powerful third move, Ferocious Tiger Whip. In the past, his powerful master had died under this move. Although Tiger Nian didn't have a tiger tail, the whip with his leg as a tail was extremely powerful. Tiger Nian had used this move to shatter the ribs of 6 experts and turn their internal organs into minced meat. 2 of them were innate experts. Tiger Nian was sure that as long as this whip hit its target, any enemy would definitely die. No enemy would be able to survive after being hit by the 3 styles of the ferocious tiger that could ignore defense. Boom! In the arena, there was an earth-shattering tremor. Although it was silent, it caused everyone to tremble in the shockwave. One by one, they fell onto the ground in a sorry state. Other than the mysterious man in the wide-brimmed hat, no one could see what had happened. Tiger Nian stood 10 meters away from Yu Yang with a gloomy face. No one could tell what was on his face. Yu Yang was in a sorry state. Other than an obvious shoe print on his left rib, there were also 2 fist prints on his chest. These were all caused by Tiger Nian's 3 styles of the ferocious tiger. Could it be that the young titan was going to lose? Everyone was worried. Suddenly, Tiger Nian staggered a few steps. His body swayed and fell onto the ground. He pressed his hands on his crotch and curled up his body in pain. He looked like a snake that was hit in its weak spot. The smile on the face of the mysterious man with the wide-brimmed hat became wider. Only he saw that when Tiger Nian used the angry tiger whip to hit his opponent's left ribs, Yu Yang had retreated his body and kicked him sideways. While dodging the fatal blow, Yu Yang had also kicked Tiger Nian's crotch. Needless to say, Tiger Nian must be in pain right now. Nian, who was protecting its master, pounced towards Yu Yang. However, its tail curled up its master's body cunningly and was ready to escape. A shadow flashed in the sky, 10 times faster than the Reaper Mantis. A shadow swooped down at an extremely fast speed. She ignored the pressure from the silencing scepter and let out a scream that shook one's soul. From the moment the shadow appeared to the moment it disappeared, only a second had passed. However, that scream that made one's soul tremble and made everyone's mind go blank as if they had been hit by a hammer reverberated in everyone's hearts for a long time. The majestic Nian beast curled up in pain amidst the scream, looking even more miserable than its owner. It bled from all 7 of its orifices, as if its head was exploded by some kind of force. The Reaper Mantis pounced on it and chopped off Nian's head with its sickle. This time, Nian couldn't recover to its original state as blood gushed out. It was dead. The Reaper Mantis sent Nian's head to its master in an attempt to please Yu Yang before chewing on its corpse. Seeing this, Tiger Nian was terrified. He struggled to get up and was ready to escape. Now, even if he was an idiot, he would know that he was no match for this young man in front of him. Yu Yang ignored him and kept the silencing scepter. Seeing his skillful movements, everyone knew that he must have killed many people and snatched their treasures. Otherwise, he wouldn't be so skillful. Silencing scepter. Yu Yang had gotten one when he was in the Ares Temple. Of course, that was a time-limited item. This one was a gold-ranked permanent treasure. Both of them had the same function, but their value was completely different. With it, Yu Yang felt that many people would be unlucky. In Yu Yang's hands, the power of this item would definitely make others cry. Tiger Nian clenched his teeth and endured the pain. He wanted to escape, but before he could crush the teleportation stone, Yu Yang hit him on the back with a ferocious tiger strike, giving him a taste of his own medicine. The teleportation stone fell to the ground with a thud and rolled more than 10 steps away. Tiger Nian was very clear that it was impossible to escape with his legs. Not to mention the fact that this human named Titan was as scary as a demon king. Even the Reaper Mantis was enough to make him suffer. He had to get the teleportation stone, otherwise he would definitely die. Tiger Nian, who was sent flying by Yu Yang, endured the blood that rushed to his throat. He struggled to get up and immediately pounced toward the teleportation stone. Just as he was about to grab the teleportation stone, a foot stomped down heavily. Tiger Nian couldn't help but look up. It was Yu Yang the killer. "No, don't kill me." Yu Yang didn't forgive Tiger Nian just because he was covered in blood. To Yu Yang, mercy and compassion were very rare things. He definitely couldn't let his enemies have it. In front of the audience, Tiger Nian was hit by Yu Yang's second style Bite of the Hungry Tiger and third style Whip of the Angry Tiger. Tiger Nian's head exploded and he died on the spot. He died under his own unique skill, just like how his junior brother, Nightmare, died under his own beast. However, no one sympathized with them. Instead, they cheered thunderously for Yu Yang. The crazy gamblers took off everything on their bodies, including their clothes. They waved or threw them towards the arena to show their admiration for the winner. Amidst the frenzied celebration, the fat Anton's face was ashen. Especially after hearing what the toad merchant Jada said, he immediately fainted from a cerebral hemorrhage. This was because Jada said, "My dear Mr. Ndong, my bed is very small. Let's not talk about it for now." However, Mr. Titan had bet 5 platinum grimoires with you. After 2 wins, Mr. Ndong, who is as rich as a country, would only need to return 50 platinum grimoires to him. The mysterious man sitting beside Ndong was also shocked. 50 platinum grimoires? It seemed like Ndong couldn't afford it even if he sold his body. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.